What's up? Oh, you gotta talk to the mayor. The mayor. No problem. Love it. Yes. Until the public hearing. Well, the fine might get him to mow the other fish.
I mean, that's not
February 17, 2026, Lowell City Council meeting come to order. Prayer. Dear God, today as this session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Counselor Noon, Counselor Robinson,
Here.
Counselor Rourke,
Here.
Counselor Scott,
Here.
Counselor Chow,
Here.
Counselor Dakota,
Here.
Mayor Getchia,
Here.
Counselor Duran,
Here.
Counselor Liang,
Here.
Counselor McDonough, Counselor Mercia.
Here.
Moment of silence. Councilor Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to offer a moment of silence in darkened chamber for a lifelong Lowell resident, James F. Fallon, Jr. He was the beloved husband of Catherine Wren Fallon, with whom he shared over 72 years of marriage. Although Jim was born in Worcester, he was raised and was educated in Lowell. He graduated from Lowell High School in 1949. Jim was a standout three-sport athlete during his era and a member of the Lowell High School Athletic Hall of Fame. He was the quarterback on Coach Ray Riddick's first undefeated football team, leading the Raiders to a bowl game in Jackson, Mississippi. Baseball and basketball rounded out his athletic pursuits, and after graduation, he was signed to a professional baseball contract with the Philadelphia Phillies in 1950. Later in life, he shared his knowledge and passion by serving as a highly successful coach at various levels of youth sports in Lowell. Shortly after his graduation in 1953, he married Catherine Wren and began working for the gas company. He was later drafted into the United States Army and served during the Korean War. While in the Army, he had the opportunity to play baseball in Japan. He returned as a lieutenant with the Lowell Fire Department, a career he truly loved. He retired in 1992 after more than 30 years of service to the city, much of the time spent at Engine 7 on Pine Street, where his co-workers became lifelong friends. A longtime Highland resident, his name is immortalized at the James Fallon Sports Complex located behind the Daily School, of which was my motion at the request of attorney Kevin Murphy. Jim served on the Friends of Lowell High School Boosters and was president of the Lowell Firefighters Credit Union for many years. Besides his devoted wife of over 72 years, Catherine, he is survived by their 5 children, James Fallon and his wife Karen, Timothy Fallon and his wife Catherine, Catherine Dillon and her husband Michael, Martha Santos, I want to say Martha Muscle Santos, but that's between her and her husband Arthur, and Mary Kay Guthrie and her husband Roland. He also leaves behind his 7 grandchildren and his 12 great-grandchildren. James was a kind and generous man who will be deeply missed by all who had the privilege of knowing him. Our condolences to his family, relatives, and many, many friends. I would also like to offer a moment of silence in darkened chamber to all those who passed away since our last city council meeting. May they all rest in peace. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mercier. Councilor Dakota.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to have a moment in darkened chambers for Linda Machado. She was born in Lowell, Massachusetts, May 4th, 1945, the daughter of the late Ernest and late Lillian Bilodeau Ronsley. She attended Lowell schools and graduated from Lowell High School in the class of 1964. After high school, Linda earned a teaching certificate in early childhood education from Wheelock College. Linda was the owner and operator of Kids World Education in Dracut. For over 40 years, Linda was a popular bartender at the Bunting Club in Lowell, spending 40 years behind the bar at the Bunting Club added yet another vibrant layer to Linda's story. Many patrons will remember her as a funny, kind, and always ready to lend a helping hand. Others might smile, remembering that she could also be forced to be reckoned with. Quick-witted, a little fresh at times, and never one to hold back. That spark was simply part of what made her so unforgettable. An active member of the St. Patrick's Church in Lowell, Linda worked bingo for many years while her children attended school there. She enjoyed running and an occasional Miller Lite with her family and friends. However, her favorite thing was to spend time with her grandchildren. She was survived by 3 daughters, Darrell Bastine, her husband Mark, Lisa Figueroa, and her husband John, and Rebecca Lai and her partner Brian Martin, all of Lowell, Mass., and a son Joseph Machado and his wife Jennifer of Lowell. Linda happily took on the role of auntie to her many nieces and nephews, a title she enjoyed as much as Mom and Granny. Her nieces and nephews were a joy to her as she was to all of them. They all adored her. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Council Ducoto. Seeing no other, please darken the chambers. Two, Mayor's business. 2.1, communication, remote Zoom participation. Motion to accept and place on file, Councilor Robinson, seconded by Councilor Scott. 2.2, presentation, Roberto Clemente Baseball League. Maria Claudio.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, City Manager. Good evening, City Councils. Thank you for inviting us here tonight to Maria Claudio, Roberto Clemente, Lee of Lowell. We are here, thank you also, Chap, to have us over here. And this is Maria Claudio. She is the president or Rementa, Roberto Clemente Lee. And also there is on the league, they are the youth that played in Roberto Clemente baseball league. And they're going to play and represent Massachusetts on February 2026 in Puerto Rico. And their name is Justin Frias, Jose Luis Romero. Thank you so much. And also, this is a new, we have new board here in Roberto Clemente. We are non-profit organization right now. Thank God that we are a no-profit organization. And Jose Cervantes, can you come over here too? He's also one of the part of the member of the board. And this is what myself, I'm the secretary. Roberto Clemente Lead, founded by, 2008. Our mission is to keep the children out of the street, to keep the children out of the street, age 5 to 18. This is founded in 2008. I know Maria for a long time, to being also with the kids and the parents. Thank you, Maria, for doing what you're doing. And yes. And Maria Roberto Clemente Lee represented for a long time Lowell to also the states and also all the country. Maria represents Lowell in Lawrence, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New York, Rhode Island, Worcester, and country as Puerto Rico, and also Boston. Some of the lead from the other country, from Dominican Republic, came here to play with Maria Lee. Colombia and Dominican Republic. They came in Puerto Rico. They came here and played with the lead, which is Maria, the lead of Maria Roberto Clemente, won, which is very good. So represent Lowell, and every part where she goes is representing Lowell, which is very good. So Maria have a lot of championship. And how many championships you have?
New York 2019-99 is the International President Cup in New York. Is my lead, is champion and MVP. In 2024 and 2024 and 2029 is the championship in New York and championship in Boston. My lead this year represented Massachusetts on President International Cup in Puerto Rico tomorrow and 22 February. Thank you.
So we're here also, thank you. We're here because we want you to know that Maria is doing a great job with the kids. She keeping the kids out of the streets. Also the parents keeping them, occupied and make the parents happy because the kids is playing in Maria lead. Roberto Clemente is being here since, like I say, since 2008, and he's doing a great job.
Roberto Clemente Leos Lowell this year, the 5 years old at 12 years old, my lead is free. He's free for the kids, okay?
Yeah, and thank you for the people that donate a lot of material for the kids. So this year is going to be free. Everything's going to be free. We are, reaching out to parents, reaching out also to the kids. We're going outside. We inviting a lot of parents. We're inviting a lot of kids from outside so that we can have in the lead of Roberto Clemente. Maria is very dedicated woman, very powerful woman. Empower the kids just not to be on the street. Just come and play baseball. Come and do something for yourself. And not only that, she's an activist. She's been also in Lowell in a lot of activities. It's a lot of events. So now also she's a very good founder of the league, but also she's very activist here in Lowell.
Well, we want to thank you guys for your presentation and motion to accept and place on file by Councilor Liang, seconded by Councilor Mercier. Thank you. (2.3) citation, Councilor Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In honor of Black History Month, since I've been on the council, this is something that I try to do. I try to identify people in the community that are tirelessly giving back and continue to be an example for the community of what it really means to be engaged and fully participate and help as many people as you possibly can. And many of these people do it silently. They don't do it for the pictures. They don't do it for, the publicity or the social media. I personally was fortunate enough to work with this person on an event in Centerville, and it's just one of many things that this person has done throughout the city. I mean, so many people can attest to this, as you see behind me. Official citation. Be it hereby known to all that the City of Lowell and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts hereby offers its sincerest congratulations to Shembra McDowney. In honor of Black History Month, the City of Lowell recognizes Shembra McDowney, a lifelong resident of Lowell, Mass., whose dedication to service, compassion, and community uplift exemplifies the spirit of Black History Month and the enduring legacy of leadership, resilience, and generosity. Born and raised in Mill City, Chambra embraces her Lowell roots and remains deeply connected to the community that shaped her. Drawing inspiration from Lowell's rich culture, history, and people, she's made it her mission to give back by ensuring residents have access to essential resources and meaningful support during times of need. Her work reflects a deep understanding that strong communities are built through care, action, and collective responsibility. Chambra has selflessly dedicated countless hours to organizing and supporting community initiatives, including fundraisers that provided food and essential items during the government shutdown, back-to-school supply giveaways, holiday gift drives for families, and the preparation and distribution of hot meals at community events through our business, Red's Kitchen and Catering. Whether cooking meals, coordinating volunteers, or personally transporting donated goods across the city, she leads every effort with a hands-on approach and unwavering commitment. All these initiatives are fully volunteer-driven, with Chambra generously contributing her time at no cost and frequently covering expenses out of pocket to ensure their success. Supported by a devoted network of volunteers, her work stands as a powerful example of service rooted in love for community. Through her actions, Chambra McDowney continues to make a lasting impact on Lowell and honors the enduring values celebrated during Black History Month. Therefore, I, on behalf of Mayor Eric Gitchia and the entire City Council, residents of Lowell hereby extend our deepest appreciation, and we are proud to honor and recognize Chambra McDowney for the service to the community, offering our gratitude and best wishes for good health and happiness, given the 17th day of February 2026. Thank you.
Well, I guess this is a surprise. My brother got me here, and I'd seen all my friends coming in. This is an honor, but this wasn't just me. As I said, it was, always if you see something, you say something. And I spoke up. And actually, I'm very proud of the city of Lowell for standing behind me. And I've seen a lot of, my colleagues and my friends and my family here. And I want to say thank you to all of you. Not for me. So this is for all of you. Thank you again. I don't do public stuff.
Beautiful. All right. Make sure everyone can see me, all right? Big smiles on 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Fantastic.
Wow. Congratulations. I brought tomatoes today.
Motion to accept and place on file by Councilor Robinson, seconded by Councilor Rook. 3, City Clerk. 3.1, minutes of the City Council regular meeting February 10th for acceptance. Motion to accept and place on file by Councilor Duran, seconded by Councilor Dakota. Seeing it's not 7 o'clock, we'll continue on. 6, City Council motions. 6.1, Council Liang requests the city manager have the HR department provide a summary of the demographic report, including city staff residency, Lowellians versus non-Lowellians by leadership level. Additionally, include the percentage of respondents who answered yes to the question pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 268A. Please indicate if you have any family members employed by the City of Lowell in the City of Lowell's employment application form. Second by Councilor McDonough. Councilor Liang.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you know, the most important and valuable asset of this city is the diverse people. People of all around the world are making a family here. Lowell is their home, a place where they can walk, live, play, and learn. Lowell will continue to improve economically through the LINK project, Frontrunner City, UNESCO Learning City, 501c3 investment, and other local and public-private organizations. Mr. Manager, I admire your presentation and vision for our city last week. You talk about workforce development, transparency, sustainability, safe and welcoming space, job creation, culture and economic engine, just to name a few. This motion is just an overview of our strengths, weaknesses, and opportunity within our city workforce. Also, if I may, I'm asking to see business and nonprofit out there really support the resident and the people of Lowell. Our children, our new graduates need equal opportunity regardless of their background. As you said, Lowell is a city of opportunity.
Thank you, Councilor Liang. Councilor Rook.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm curious why it matters where city staff lives in Lowell or not. You know, I've always been someone just, you put the best person in place for positions. You know, are you trying to create some, kind of animosity between employees here in the city? There are negotiations of the contracts that, we deal with just with residency requirements. One of my first motions, 2014, was to establish a residency requirement for employment. Conversation lasted about 2 minutes. So, 268A is a huge Mass General Law with multiple additions to it. Again, I don't, just the reason for it, what are we doing here, and just my concerns.
Thank you, Councilor Rook. Councilor Scott.
Thank you. I guess I just have concerns over the wording, perhaps, of the motion, that I'm not really sure exactly what you're looking for. The way you just described it was kind of a demographics report, which I'm fine with that, if that's what we're looking for. We've asked for hiring reports in the past quite a few times. I'm not quite sure on the, divided up by leadership level. Like, what are those leadership levels? Do you know how that's defined? Like, what are you looking for with that wording? I'm not really sure. And then again, the hiring of family members, I think, like, I've always been opposed to, people managing their family members or them being in the same chain of command. But I also think public service kind of runs in families. So that's kind of a, I'm not really sure what this is looking for, what the end result is that you're trying to come up with. Like I said, if it's a diversity and hiring report, I'm 100% behind that. But that's not kind of the wording that I get out of this motion. Thank you.
See no other comments? Roll call.
I can respond.
Oh,
I can respond.
hold on. Councilor Liang.
Oh. So I'm assuming that maybe on an annual basis, you do, Mr. Manager, you have a report from the HR about the hiring turnovers. This is just a summary of demographic. There's no animosity about anybody or anyone. It's just a report, basically looking at who are our workforce. We have projects out there. Okay, we have, for example, the Frontrunner City. We're gonna have the Link project. We're gonna have a lot of people. I'm looking for is it diverse enough? Do our community have a chance to be employed within the city, or do we have a lot of experience or professional working in our city, over the people that are living in the city? I may be concerned about, for example, long term, will this graduate, will these students or youngsters have a place to live in Lowell or to work in Lowell? Or are we going to have more people from the outside and to work in these projects? And since we don't have a lot of opportunity, we might be able to move out of this city in order to get a good job. It's very basic. I work in HR for many years. It's more about diversity and more about inclusion. There's nothing about this motion that harass anybody or work against anybody. It's just merely a report. And also, just a basic transparency where everybody stands. As regard to the Chapter 268A, as recently as today, it's on the job application. Basically, it's just a report. If somebody answers yes, then it's a yes. What is the percentage? It's not a percentage. So don't read into it. It's just a report. Thank you.
Just a point of clarification. 4 years ago, I filed a motion for an applicant tracking for HR. This report's pretty standard, so it should be something that should be able to be pulled and put together, I believe. But Councilor Chow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think I understand the intent of the motion by Councilor Liang, and also some questions by the other councilors. I think to maybe the wording in this motion, some of that might not be legal and so forth, but I think the intent to get the report about demographic, about diversity and so forth, I think I would feel more comfortable with this motion if it was to ask the city manager to explore the feasibility, what can be included in the report, and then to provide that report. If it was to include everything for like Councilor Rook mentioned, like family members and where they live. I think some of it, there have been several motions in the past, and we discussed and we questioned about the legality of it. Also, so I mean, if the maker of the motion were to make a slight amendment, say for the city manager to explore and include what's feasible in the report, I think I can support that comfortably.
Councilor Liang?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I do agree. In this report, there is no identifiable information of anybody. We should always be protected of all our employees. This is more a cumulative report. It's a summary, of the report of the total staff and what's going on demographically and things like that. So there is no individual report that's going to come out of this request.
Councilor McDonough.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If it's okay with Councilor Liang, I think something that might address Councilor Scott's question, if this is a realistic point of divide here, would be if we're looking at leadership positions, if we just take bargaining unit members as one pool and then ordinance employees and management level as a separate pool, I guess, for the sake of this report. Does that work?
That works.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. When I first saw this motion, I was a little taken aback by it. When I see it saying, include the percentage of respondents who answered yes to the question pursuant to Mass General Law 268A, Please indicate if you have a family member employed by the City of Lowell in the City of Lowell's employment application. I don't know. What's the point? Yes, I'll tell you right now, I have a daughter that works in the city. It makes it seem like I'm committing some sort of a crime here because my daughter works here, but she worked 13 years in the school department, and I didn't even know she had got into the school department. Then she hurt herself, and she was like cast aside because she couldn't work anymore. I would think the city would have made reasonable accommodations, which at that time they didn't, until someone else came into power, and I said, can you make reasonable accommodations for my daughter? And they did. I mean, I'm telling you my personal information. I personally don't care because I'm an elected official. You can know anything you want about me. But I think the average person would be taken aback as well. I think it should be reworded, and I don't know why you want to know whose relative is working where. I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't mean any harm by it, and I don't think you do either, but it's just like scratching your nails down a blackboard. I don't know.
Councilor Robinson.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the city manager. Are there any concerns you have with answering this motion? I mean, is there anything that really jumps out at you that you think is worrisome or illegal or anything here? Because, I mean, if they're looking for a summary to try to get a picture of the demographic, I mean, then I don't see what the big challenge is here, unless there's something that concerns the administration on answering. But again, that bottom line where they're asking respondents who answered yes to the question, they're not looking for specifics. It's basically a summary. So if you had 80 applicants that responded yes, you'd say 80 applicants responded yes on this portion of the application. I mean, it seems like it's general for the most part, but are there any concerns on the administration's end that you'd recommend amending?
Manager Golden.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. Councilor, no, not necessarily. We wouldn't put down any personal information anyhow. The only other piece that I would think that we do this in the budget every year, most of this. In regards to the 268A and those that answered yes, we may have to go through, give or take, 950 applications. I don't know if we've ever tracked it that way, but 950 applications of people that have been here for, I'll say, 30 years, you know? So that might be a little bit time-consuming and a challenge to see if someone did that. That'd be the only piece that I think would be cumbersome in the sense it would have to get there at some point. We got to go back and get the 950 applications and look to see who checked off yes. I guess that would be the only the time piece. The rest of it is, I would say, for the most part, pretty standard with the demographic, the diversity. Is something that we track in a very normal course of business just to make sure we know what's going on. So most of that would be okay, with the exception of, I just don't believe, and I'd have to ask HR this, if we've ever tracked that. So that would mean we'd have to go back to every employee to see how they filled out their application.
Thank you. And with the applicant tracking system, wouldn't it be pretty much computerized from that point they implemented forward?
I hope. Yeah, I would hope it would from the applicant tracking piece, but we'd be going back better than 30 years, right? I mean, that's something I would check with. I'd have to check with HR.
Okay.
You know, because obviously 30 years ago we didn't have applicant tracking. 10 years ago we didn't have it. Has everything been put in, or is it just PDF'd, or how has it been tracked? That's something I'd have to look at.
Thank you.
Councilor Duran.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I love data maybe more than most people on this council, and so I would love to see all of this data, just out of curiosity. But I also, as I think about it further, I'm not sure what we will learn from it. For instance, I think our school system should be growing all of our students to be able to find the best jobs they can, whether those are in Lowell or outside of Lowell. And if we, bring in people who live in other communities because they're the best candidates, that's also great. I don't think we need to be, just keep people in Lowell. I think we are a melting pot of people from all over the world and other communities. So I would, in a way, love to see the data, but I'm just not sure maybe what we will do with the results of it. And that makes me then wonder whether it's worth the effort to pull it together. And I assume that's really a question for Councilor Liang.
Councilor Liang.
So I'm assuming that I know to city managers that the bottom half of the the motion could be hard to get just because you didn't track that, right? But I mean, if it's difficult to track, we can just take the first half and then do not. I would like to amend that if possible to just take the additional thing, but basically take that out of the motion to basically just to have the demographic. But I don't know. Is it possible, or is it how hard is it to just get that? I mean, like I said, it's the yes and no. It's just this is it's just hard to get information about it. Or how's that work?
Manager Golden.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Council, if you could give me just a little bit of time, we'll look at it. But with the 268A,
Right.
with that kicking into 2022, that's probably the press of a button, right, to figure that out. It's everything that's prior to that we'd have to go back, which I'm not saying we can't. We just have to try to figure that out. Just give me a little bit more time on that, and we can, I'll call you personally to let you know what I think we can and can't do. But the rest of this information should be okay.
Right.
Councilor Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just one more concern on the motion, and I do appreciate if I would support it if we were removing that language about 268A and them going back, just because I don't see the end result, the use of it, to have our staff spend all that time. But my other question is around the staff residency, where a motion has been made multiple times on the floor here asking about a residency requirement, and it has never passed, or we've been advised that that will not pass, and that we basically want the most qualified candidates from wherever they're from. So again, I'm not really sure what that data is going to help support, where that's already been brought up on the floor over and over again. So that's another concern I have with it. So thank you.
Councilor Mercier, would you be able to take the podium, the mayor's spot, please?
May I get you?
Thank you, Councilor Mercier. I think that the intent of the motion is all over the place based off of the yes on the question and the pursuant to Chapter 268A after listening to people. Because there's a lot of employees, if you go back many years, that got here through civil service. So they had to take a civil service exam to get here, and at that point there was no who do you know, who do you this or that. You were on a test, you scored a grade, and you got hired that way. So if you went back that far, I think that most of us were here when we passed that applicant tracking. It was 4 years ago. It was, I believe, Manager Donnie who was here at that time. And we passed it because we couldn't track things as well as we wanted to. And then we went into this tracking system that said, okay, we can start looking at individual applications and see where they are. The hard part of a lot of it back then was that we couldn't force people to apply. We put it in every single application place we could, but we weren't really getting the diversity that represented the community in a lot of ways. And the ones that did apply didn't really meet the qualifications at the time. Today may be very different. It would be very interesting to see how that report transitions to today over the last 4 years. But prior to that, I think this council and everyone within it had the same questions that Councilor Liang has, and we all asked the same questions, but we had no way of tracking it, we were told back then. So I guess I would agree with everybody as if we removed, I think what Council Liang is saying is keep the portion where it says, request the city manager have the HR department provide a summary of the demographic report, including city staff, residency, Lowellians versus non-Lowellians by leadership levels. Is that where you're ending at that point? Council Liang, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Councilor Yang,
yes.
Okay.
is that all right with you, what he's suggesting? It's
After
like
the leadership.
removing what you
Yes,
asked for.
For now, yes, just today I would just remove that.
Or we can just have a file, like all of us file motions, and when we get the report back, it's a working document. We work from the document, and then you communicate with the manager in between a meeting to see, is that what your expectations were, and you set the motion response based off of that. I think that makes sense. But to try to dial everything in, and we've all filed motions that we worded differently, and it was up to interpretation to a lot of people at the time, and then we got different responses back that we had to make adjustments to. So it would be up to the maker of the motion if he wants to just end it there and then see where the motion response comes from and make adjustments based off of the motion response.
I agree.
So are you amending that motion?
I'll make a motion to make a substitute motion, request the city manager have the HR department provide a summary of the demographic report, including city staff, residency, Lowellian versus non-Lowellian by leadership level.
So there's a motion. Would you like to second it?
I second that.
Okay. Motions stands.
roll call.
Sure, that's all right.
Yeah, just a roll
Did
call.
you want a roll call? Okay, roll call. As amended.
Counselor Noon, Counselor Robinson,
Yes.
Counselor Rourke,
No.
Counselor Scott,
No.
Counselor Chow,
Yes.
Counselor Dakota,
No.
Mayor Getchia,
Yes.
Counselor Duran,
Yes.
Counselor Liang, Counselor McDonough,
Yes.
Counselor Mercia.
No, thank you.
Six yeas, 4 nays, 1 absent, motion passes. Seeing it's past 7 o'clock, we have to go back to the regular portion of the meeting, the public hearings. For general public hearing scheduled for 7 o'clock. 4.1, vote, accepting Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 71, school bus violation detection monitoring. Give second reading.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to be out there for the next couple motions.
Okay.
Recusing, yeah.
Council McDonough is going to recuse himself. Vote accepting the provisions of Section 71 of the Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 40, insert pursuant to Chapter 399 of the Acts of 2024, the act concerning the safety of school children embarking and disembarking school buses, which authorizes cities and towns to install and operate a school bus violation detection monitoring system on a school bus to enforce violation pursuant to Section 14 and 14C of Chapter 90. We're going to open the hearing. The hearing's open to all those wishing to speak in favor. In favor. In favor. Just state your name and address for the record
Michael Gorman,
and company that you're with.
4 Overbrook Road, Middleton. Thank you.
Could you restate that so we could hear that, please?
Yes, Michael Gorman. I'm at 4 Overbrook Road. I live in Middleton, and I represent the company Bus Patrol, and I'm here just to support the effort the council in the city of Lowell is pursuing. And if I'm here, if there are questions and if there are any concerns, just ask.
Thank you, Mr. Gorman. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? That portion of the meeting is closed. Anybody wishing to speak in opposition? 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 Seeing none, that portion of the meeting is closed. The wish of the body. Councilor Dakota.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was hoping that the chief was going to be here if he had any other concerns with regard to this bus patrol. I did some fourth grade arithmetic, and did speak with Mr. Gorman, and it looks like they'll be charging $250 a bus for 12 months with 55 buses that are going. That's about $170,000 that we would pay bus patrol. But then I looked on the opposite end where the revenue would be, and that would be, let's say conservatively, each bus would have 50 violations, moving violations, times 250, times 55 buses. That comes out to, and that's conservative, that's about $700,000. So looking at it from that perspective, I think this is a no-brainer and a revenue source for the city. I really do. And obviously putting it into a stabilization fund, I think, is a great idea. I would urge my colleagues to vote in favor of this. I would ask Mr. Gorman, was my fourth grade arithmetic correct, Mr. Gorman? It was? All right, thank you. All right. Like I said, I think that's a conservative number, Mr. Mayor. We are talking 180 school days. Each bus is going to do probably more than that. We'd probably be looking over $1 million, I would imagine. My only concern is, maybe through you to the city manager, I was going to ask this to Chief Houdon. I think we would have to actually put on a policeman or a designee to go through these violations, because I believe that's the process. Then they would have to sign off. Then they go right to court. So I would think that would probably come out of that, the monies that are generated through that. So, like I said, I think this is a no-brainer. I think this is really good. Thank you very much.
Mr. Manager?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. Council, we wouldn't be looking to add anybody on in particular, but their time would be counted towards whichever company is chosen at the end of the day, you know, what the cost would be. We have offices that are over on JFK that are consistently looking at things like this with violations. So that'd be something that we would charge back on that.
All right. And I believe there's a couple of these companies that are on the state vendor list. So I don't think we have to go for an RFP on this. We just talk to the companies that would be on the list at that point. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Duran?
Oops, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I appreciate that Councilor Dakota did the math. Thank you, because I didn't know what the costs were. I would appreciate from the city manager, through the mayor to the city manager, whether the analysis about the expected ROI is what you anticipated, because I would want to make sure that this is worth the investment for us.
Mr. Manager, be careful.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. Councilor, our hope is that nobody would do this, to be quite frank with you. But the number of complaints we do get, we do believe it'd be on the positive side. Now, if that's not going to work in years to come, because typically when you start to fine people, attitudes change. So it would be my hope that City of Lowell would be the first city that wouldn't have anybody jumping the bus or trying to go around buses in that matter. But from what I understand, with the number of complaints that we do get, that people are not being responsive. Well, if they're not going to be responsive, then the general court, obviously, in I think it was 2024, passed this for that very reason. But we would be keeping a watchful eye on this, that this would not be costing the taxpayers anything, and there'd be a revenue, I guess, plus. But quite frankly, once again, I'd like to state, I wish we didn't have to do this, and that when people do see buses pulling over or picking up children, that I know you're late for work, I know you're running, leave 10 minutes earlier, because we don't want to see people get hurt in this. We shouldn't have to do this. But hopefully that answers the question that you're looking for.
Yeah, no, that's helpful. Thank you. And I think if I understood the proposal correctly, and I think this might be helpful for folks watching, so there'd be cameras installed in each bus to detect if a car is passing when the red lights are flashing. There have to be signs posted on the buses that they are subject to this system. The goal of the system is to identify the vehicle and not people, so it's intended to not be a way to do a lot of surveillance. And there are rules about, under the state statute, about how the data can be reviewed and how it should be deleted, which I think is very important to our residents. I also understand the school committee is supposed to approve this measure, so I assume this will go before the school committee at some point soon. And I just wanted to make sure that my summary made sense and was correct, but it sounds like looks like from the nods that I understood it correctly. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Duran. Councilor Robinson.
Thank you. I think I filed the original motion to take a look at this when the governor passed this law, allowing communities to pursue this. I'm glad to see that we're pursuing it. And I get it. There is a cost associated with it, but I think it really comes down to how do you put a cost on safety for the children that they're trying to get off a bus or trying to get on a bus. So, I mean, I'm not looking at this as, say, a money generator as much as sending a message to the community that we're trying to protect the children that are taking the buses off and on, period. I hope it ends up being an expense for the city, to be honest, because that means people are not blowing past buses and not jeopardizing school kids trying to get off or on a bus. So, I mean, I think this is great to test out. This isn't about monitoring this, as my colleague said. This is about sending a clear message that when you see a bus with the flashing lights and that stop sign come out, stop. And if not, this is a penalty that will be coming to you. Now, the collection end of it, I know, is a little bit shaky as far as how much we can really collect. But at the same time, I'm glad to see we're taking whatever measure is afforded to us to protect the school children. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Robinson. Councilor Marcia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wholeheartedly support this motion. This is about the safety of our children. And I have, on occasion, stopped for a school bus and the car in front of me did not. Even with the red lights flashing, I was shocked. But that does happen probably more times than you understand. So, Mr. Mayor, through you to a person that was very instrumental in the transportation at Lowell High School, Councilor Dakota, I'm just curious about this. Maybe it means nothing, but I just, out of curiosity, want to know. It will be very expensive to put these cameras on the buses. I support that 100%. But now, I don't know much about the bidding process. Are there many companies of bus companies? What my concern is, do we spend all that money and put them on the buses, and then it goes out to bid like 2 or 3 years later, and it's another company that gets the lower bid or whatever, and in the meantime, we just put the cameras on a bus that we no longer have the contract with. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So what do we do in a case like this? I'm trying to think ahead. Those cameras are ours. Do we then go around and take them off and put them on the new contract? I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't want to say, gee, you know, let's go out to bid and a lower bidder gets the bid and they don't have cameras and we got to foot the bill all over again. Do you hear what I mean?
Yeah, there was discussion.
wait a minute,
I'm sorry,
Councilor
Mr. Mayor.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
So it can't be answered without having a contract. We've been informed from the city solicitor. So any answer that you get tonight is not a function of a fulfilled contract. So you have to wait till you get the contract in place to say whether the cameras are yours or the cameras are theirs. It's part of a contract process.
So in other words, we can spend all this money to put the cameras on a bus, and then 3 years down the road or 2 years, it goes out to bid and we're footing a bill all over again?
It would be like your phone. As you re-up a phone, if you change companies, you may have to get something that's adaptive. And at that time, sometimes they just go out of sync with technology. So things change quick in that industry.
Well, I am going to support this, but if we could have a report as to my concern.
I'll recognize the city solicitor, Solicitor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to clarify, what the mayor means and what the city manager was getting at is we don't have a vendor yet that we're working with, so we don't have a contract in place with anyone. So these discussions that have come up about, you know, the cameras and ownership and buses, we haven't even got to that part of this process. And these are discussions that, you know, normal course of business, as we move forward, we would have these and we would work through them, but it hasn't happened yet. So we we wouldn't have an answer for you anyway, but your point is noted, and that would be a part of the discussions.
Okay, that's all I want to know. Make it part of the discussion so we can be informed as to where we stand here. Otherwise, I'm not saying I don't support it, I certainly do. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Mercia. Council Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I actually was going to cite a similar concern, I guess, just around the cost of it. And as Councilor Duran has stated, if we can get some type of breakdown about what this will cost. But I do agree with it. I did do some research myself. I saw a pilot that lasted about a month in Peabody and in Salem. One town had 661 violations in a month. Salem had 1,094 violations in a month, which does not surprise me at all. I live on Woburn Street, a busy road. I see cars swerve out around Woburn Street, around the bus with the stop sign all the time, like daily. I see this happen. So I think this is a very good thing no matter what, but it would be nice to see a breakdown of what it's going to cost us. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Scott. Motion to adopt by Councilor Robinson, seconded by Councilor Mercia. Roll call.
Councilor Nun, Councilor Robinson,
Yes.
Councilor Rourke.
Yes.
Councilor Scott.
Yes.
Councilor Chow.
Yes.
Councilor Dakota.
Yes.
Mayor Getchir.
Yes.
Councilor Duran.
Yes.
Councilor Liang.
Yes.
Councilor McDonough. Councilor Mercia.
Yes.
Take the next one.
10 yeas. Motion passes. Motion to take 8.1 out of order by Councilor Liang, seconded by Councilor Chow. 8.1, vote establish school bus violation stabilization fund. Waive full reading and second reading by title.
We're in a public hearing. Is this 8 point something a public hearing?
We're asked to suspend the rules to do this. Mr. Solicitor, is it okay to do this?
Is this a vote?
It's for the same thing as you just
Oh,
voted
I
on. We're
see.
just attaching the two.
It's the vote, okay.
Mr. Mayor, I think just procedurally wise, we take the public hearing first and read it into the record, and then you bring up the 8.1. That just is my history, but however you want to do it, you're the boss.
Okay, we'll go back to 4.2, as recommended by Councilor Mercia.
I think you bring it right back to the violation on 8.1.
It's all good to me. 4.2, ordinance, amend chapter 222.24, school bus violation, give second reading by title. 8.2. 8.2, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, City of Lowell, Massachusetts, with respect to chapter 222 entitled Peace in Good Order by adding Section 222.24 entitled School Bus Violation Detection and Enforcement. Open the meeting. All those in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? That portion of the hearing is closed. Anybody wishing to speak in opposition? 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 That portion of the meeting is closed. What's the wish of the body?
Roll call.
Move approval.
Do you want to take 8.1, Mr. Mayor?
Nope, we're just going to go right through the regular way.
Councilor Nun, Councilor Robinson,
Yes.
Councilor Rourke.
Yes.
Councilor Scott.
Yes.
Councilor Chow.
Yes.
Councilor Dakota.
Yes.
Mayor Getchir.
Yes.
Councilor Duran.
Yes.
Councilor Liang.
Yes.
Councilor McDonough. Councilor Mercia.
Yes.
9 yeas. Motion passes. 5, utility public hearing scheduled for 7 p.m. 5.1, National Grid request installation of one SO pole at 242 Church Street. Give second reading. 5.1. Open the hearings. All those, anybody wishing to speak in favor? In favor?
Hello, I'm Alec Birdsong. I'm here to represent National Grid in this matter. We're seeking to install a pole on Church Street, pole 13.5. It's a midspan pole to provide power at 242 Church Street.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? That portion of the meeting is closed. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? 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 Seeing no one, that portion of the meeting is closed. Wish of the body. Motion to refer to the wire inspector for report and recommendation by Councilor Rourke, seconded by Councilor Scott. Going back to the city council motions, I need a motion to bundle 6.2, 6.3, and 6.4, remove them until next week, February 24th, 2026 meeting, because Councilor Noon is not here, seconded by motion by Councilor Robinson, seconded by Councilor McDonough. 6.5, Councilor Dakota requests an update from Skanska, Suffolk on progress of Coburn Hall renovation, seconded by Councilor Chow. Councilor Dakota.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It was 4 weeks tonight ago that we had the OPM, Mr. Kane, telling us that they're looking at apparently a problem with the Coburn Hall. And he had said that there would be a report coming out within a week. Well, that has come and gone, and it's now been 4 weeks, which is a bit troubling to me because the longer it waits, maybe the news isn't as good as we thought. So through you to the city manager, this council needs a report. What is going on, and where do we go from there? So if you can put some pressure on, I'd like to open up my packet next week and have this in it.
Manager Golden.
Yes, Councilor, excuse me. Sorry, Ms. May, through you to the council. Councilor, thank you very much. We are waiting on the final scope and the final dollar figure, and I will get that as soon as possible. They've been telling us they're waiting. We're in a waiting game as well, but I'll make sure that Assistant City Manager calls them first thing again tomorrow morning.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. And just for the record, Councilor McDonough recused himself. 6.6, Councilor McDonough requests the city manager work with the appropriate department to ensure property owners in mixed use and commercial areas are aware of the ordinance regulating the storage of dumpsters, trash bins, and other items on city sidewalks to take appropriate action to ensure compliance with these requirements. Seconded by Councilor Scott. Councilor McDonough.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Also, through you, thank you to Assistant City Manager Machado for getting a few of those dealt with today and last week. This motion comes from, one, living downtown, and two, a significant number of my neighbors downtown, and then also throughout the district in commercial areas in Back Central, as well as pockets of Centerville. There's not much for business in the District 4 section of Pawtucketville. Property owners don't always seem aware of where they're allowed to put their dumpster and their trash bins and how long they're allowed to be there. Occasionally it's for weeks. Sometimes it is so long that I think everyone in the city has decided that that's just where those trash cans live until somebody tries to push a snowblower down the sidewalk and they can't because all of the trash bins for 3 streets are on one sidewalk. The other piece of this comes from a conversation at the Disability Commission, which is why I included the other items piece. It's the middle of winter, we're not looking for outdoor seating right now, but once we move back to outdoor seating, thinking through and then also making sure property owners are aware going into the outdoor dining season, what that setup can look like and where those items are stored so that we're not obstructing the entire sidewalk. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. 6.7, Councilor Duran requests the city manager to work with the appropriate departments to consider opportunities to enhance safety for sledding at Shed Park by removing any tree stumps. Removing any tree stumps and considering installing a snow fence or similar barrier along the parking lot. Seconded by Councilor Liang. Councilor Duran.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In 1910, Freeman Shed gifted 50 acres of land to the city of Lowell to, quote, forever be used as a park and recreation or playground for the citizens and children of the city of Lowell. That gift has brought joy to the citizens and children of the city, not just the Belvedere residents, ever since, including for sledding in the winter. And it brings joy to my heart every winter to see kids and families sledding there and having fun, and I never want that to end. But a resident of Lowell mentioned to me that it's often hard for her when she's watching her two grandchildren to keep an eye on both of them while they're sledding. And if the snow is fast, that, it's possible that a kid can get to, while sledding, too close to the roadway or to the parking area. So she suggested some sort of fencing, so maybe a snow fence or something like that. Another parent mentioned that, there are some tree stumps that may be on the hill or somewhere in the area that are covered now by snow, but that could pop up again or become, a safety issue for folks. So I think we all want sledding to continue and to be safe. So if there are some low-cost ways that we can improve safety at Shed Park and make sure that we can all enjoy it forever, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Duran. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. 6.8, Councilor Duran, Councilor Liang, request city manager to have the appropriate personnel answer questions about National Grid work authorization process, perhaps at a technology and utility subcommittee. No second needed. Councilor Duran.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know that Councilor Noon has also put on some requests that relate, but I think they're somewhat different from this one in that we've seen a large number of requests from National Grid over the last couple of weeks, and now have the opportunity to compare these requests. And I think since several of us are new to the council and also residents aren't really aware of some of the terminology and the process, certainly I was not, aware of how this process worked. I think it would be helpful to be able to ask our questions to either through the appropriate person in the city and or a National Grid representative so that we are fully informed as we're making these decisions going forward, and we can share that information with residents.
Councilor Yang?
I do agree with Councilor Duran because, we're quite new, but at the same time, we don't know a lot of process about the National Grid. How these polls or the process of getting their work, going through. So we just want to get some more detailed information on it. That would be nice.
Thank you, Councilor Yang. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. 6.9, Mayor Getchia requests the city manager send a formal letter to the Joint Committee on Environmental and National Resources Chair Christine Barber, reiterating the critical importance of House Bill 965 and House Bill 4266. The deadline for action of these rodenticide bills are March 18th, 2026. Seconded by Councilor McDonough. We have a registered speaker on Zoom. Joanne Dawson.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. City Manager, members of the City Council. My name is Joanne Dawson, and I live at 61 Enfield Street in Lowell. I'm here tonight to express my support for Mr. Gitcher's motion 6.9, and I will be uncharacteristically brief. There are currently 17 House rodenticide bills sitting in the committee waiting to be voted out favorably, including H.965, the statewide bill restricting the use of anticoagulant rodenticides with some exceptions, and H.4266, Lowell's home rule petition requesting authority to manage rodenticide use in our city. These poisons pose a daily and serious threat to our environment, pets, children, and wildlife. The facts, the science, and the harms are indisputable. There is a March 18th deadline for the committee to move the bills along in the process towards approval. All that remains is for the Mass State Legislature to act in the interest of their constituents. I am thankful to live in a city that understands the stakes. Thank you once again for all of the good work currently underway in multiple departments to making our city a safer and healthier place for all living beings. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. Motion speaks for itself. All those in
Mayor.
favor? Oh, Councilor Robinson?
No.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. Councilor Robinson.
May I make a motion to suspend the rules?
Can we just finish the last motion and then suspend the rules?
Yes, sure.
Thank you. 6.10, Mayor Getchia requests the city manager reach out to the Inspector General's office in regards to having them perform a forensic audit on the Lowell High School project finances. All those in favor? Seconded by Councilor Dakota. So ordered. Motion speaks for itself unless someone has something else to add. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. Councilor Robinson.
Thank you. I'd make a motion to suspend the rules and take 7.4 out of order in case we have anybody here that'd be willing to speak.
Motion by Councilor Robinson to take 7.4 out of order, seconded by Councilor Rourke. Councilor. 7.4, communications, reappointment of Allison Keegan and Erin Genrin to the Board of Health. Motion to accept by Councilor Scott, seconded by Councilor Duran. Let's take a roll call, and then we'll let Ms. Genrin talk. Roll call.
Counselor Noon, Counselor Robinson,
Yes.
Counselor Rourke,
Yes.
Counselor Scott,
Yes.
Counselor Chow,
Yes.
Counselor Dakota,
Yes.
Mayor Getchia,
Yes.
Counselor Duran,
Yes.
Counselor Liang,
Yes.
Counselor McDonough,
Yes.
Counselor Mercia.
Ooh, yeah, yes.
Had me nervous.
Ms. Gendron. Ms. Gendron.
Thank you, Manager Golden, councilors, Mayor Getchia. I was first appointed to the Board of Health 5 years ago, and it has been my absolute pleasure to serve the city in this capacity. My first 2 years were baptism by fire amidst a global pandemic, and I'm happy to report that the last 3, though very busy, the focus has shifted back towards improving health and quality of life in our city. I'm proud of the work the Board of Health has been able to accomplish with the support of this council and the law department. I'll be brief, but here are some of the highlights that, in addition to our regular oversight. We are the first city in Massachusetts to ban the sale, use, and production of kratom, an unregulated, harmful drug that mimics opioids, and prior to the ban, could be bought by a 10-year-old at a gas station. This has created a ripple across the state and has gotten national attention. There are now 15 cities and towns, and 5 that are in the process who use the same regulations that Lowell has paved the way for. We collectively banned second-generation anticoagulant rodenticides, I know you guys love that word, from city-owned properties, which has helped give real point-in-time data to the effectiveness of alternative pest management systems. Our state delegation has also championed this, and if the bills pass, it will give a real chance at survival for our wildlife and pets across the state. We work tirelessly with the law department to change our cosmetology regulations to allow microblading and an apprenticeship program. Previous to this change, very few cities had these regulations, and shop owners here in Lowell had to go to Newbury Street in Boston or Alston to practice their trade. This allows them to now live and work in Lowell, contributing to economic growth of the city. I thank you for the appointment, and I will continue to serve fairly, consistently, and with transparency at the forefront. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gendron. 7.1, motion response traffic comment. Councilor Noon is not here. Does anyone wish to speak on this response? Councilor McDonough.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have sorry, I had it out of order. I have a quick question on the traffic calming, particularly there was a piece about ADA accessibility with in certain crosswalk intersections that we're getting another look. Absent from the list, I know it's come up under previous councils, but was the crosswalk on Jackson Street from the parking garage to the Lowell Community Health Center. I get it's a sand pit. Just if we're looking at intersections for accessibility and ease of crossing the street, getting into the community health center would be a pretty big one for me.
Mr. Manager?
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Altman.
Hi, if I may. The city has received a Shared Streets and Spaces grant to provide a raised crosswalk from at that intersection, so that will be constructed this summer.
Thank you. You're welcome. If I didn't ask, I was going to get probably 15 emails before I got home.
Thank you, Ms. Altman. Thank you, Mr. McDonough. Councilor Robinson.
Thank you. I just have a question for the traffic engineer. I don't know where the flashing stop signs, the four-way at West 6th that been installed. I don't know if that was something through a grant or what, but it's been brought to my attention in the future, if any grant opportunities or anything similar exists, could we possibly take a look at Bridge Street at the beginning of the steps leading up to the Robinson School, because that's a very high pedestrian traffic area and tons of kids from the neighborhood actually use that walkway to get on the stairs to head up to both the McAuliffe and the Robinson. So if that opportunity presents itself in the future, I think if you could take a peek at that location, it'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Robinson. Councilor Duran.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This report was very useful, and I would, especially the advice on the second page under the heading Traffic Calming Program Progress, which I think our neighbors should read so they understand the process. I think that the idea presented there of studying the need for speed humps on a neighborhood-wide basis makes sense, because otherwise we will be chasing our tails as traffic moves from one street to the next. I also think it's helpful to understand the criteria used to select streets to get speed humps. If I read it correctly right now, it looks like it's a combination of the squeaky wheel that is neighbors complaining, along with insights of where speed humps cannot be installed because of things like slope and other things. So I think, at least for me, understanding what the criteria are for how traffic calming is prioritized in the city will be helpful, and I may put a motion on to that effect going forward. But I do think that residents will learn something very valuable by reading this report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Duran. Councilor McDonough.
Sorry, very quickly, I wanted to apologize for my question. I panicked on the time limit because I actually see that I have a giant smiley face in my notes next to that raised crosswalk. So instead of the question that I already asked and got answered, thank you again for the raised crosswalk at Jackson Street.
Thank you, Councilor McDonough. Need a motion to accept and place on file by Councilor Chow, seconded by Councilor Dakota. 7.1B, motion response, snow and ice. We have a registered speaker.
Ryan Faria.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Ryan Faria. I live on Campbell Drive in Lowell, Massachusetts. I just wanted to say I appreciated this motion response. When I read through it, one of the things that stood out to me and that I was hoping to see was more of a detailed storm response. So I view that as, you can segregate storms into the volume of the storm, maybe a response for under 6 inches, 6 to 12, 12 and up. And then kind of you look at each DPW employee that's out there working the storms. Each day, day one post-storm, what are they responsible for? Day 2, day 3, and so on and so forth.
If we have that, then it becomes transparent as to what's supposed to be done, when it's supposed to be done, and we can have accountability to that. The reason I asked that is because inside this motion response, it talked about how sidewalks are generally managed within 24 hours and prioritization goes towards schools and high pedestrian areas. 9 days after the snow ended, I had to reach out to the city and say, hey, right by the Daly School where the water tower is, there's a sidewalk that hadn't been cleared yet. Once I reached out, the very next day it was taken care of and it's all set. So if there was a metric or a matrix that said, here's what each DPW person should be doing, it can have some feedback or input from the neighborhoods or the residents. And then from there, we at least know what's supposed to be done. I understand we had an 18-inch or greater storm. That's something that comes very rarely, and there's a big backup for that. But I think, that's probably a little bit too long for a sidewalk near a school to be maintained. Hopefully, when we have storms of this size, there's a lot that can be learned from the storm, the feedback from residents. Hopefully, the DPW will have a storm debrief or a reflection to try to improve the SOPs for future storms. And I think that, a little bit of an overhaul is needed. Some things to consider might be what other cities do. During the storm, there's certain roads where the parking ban takes effect and other roads where people can park. So there's areas in the Highlands, Centerville, where garages aren't easily accessible. So having stratifications of roads that can be parked on and cannot be parked on during the storm could be helpful for those people. But overall, I think it was a good response. It would just be helpful to have some transparency and accountability to what is expected, what areas are supposed to be serviced following a storm. Thank you.
Thank you. The motion response went to Councilor McDonough, Councilor Duran, Councilor Scott, and Councilor Noon. Who wants to go first? Councilor Scott.
I'll go first. On my request, which was around the parks and parking in the parks, alternatives to downtown, because our neighborhoods, it's really kind of unrealistic. At least my issues going around and driving through the neighborhood after the snowstorm, you can easily see that the roads that had cars parked down them are the roads that are a mess still today, 2 weeks later, that you can't get down. The roads that were wide open and people had driveways, they're well plowed, and that's because the plows had easy access. So it's not, they didn't choose one neighborhood to do a better job. It was a difficult situation for them with all the cars parked there. So the cars have to come off the road. You have down that they'll try a pilot for the parking in the parks. I hope that happens. I know there was supposed to be a pilot for street sweeping. We haven't seen that happen. So I'm hoping there's some timeline for this pilot, that it's just not floating out there. There's still ongoing issues in my neighborhood as far as businesses that have not done their, big businesses too, large corporations that have not done their sidewalks out front. Perhaps they've been fined. When do we go and do it and build them back, or what is the next level when they don't take care of it? I guess is my question for the city manager. Thank you.
Manager Golden.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through the council. We have been fining on a very regular basis. We're well over 180 fines currently right now, and that is not, those violations are pretty serious. We were just fining as late as just yesterday, I believe. So we are still out there doing this, and some folks won't pay it, and we'll continue to fine them, and then obviously we'll collect that at a later date. We try not to fine. We've stopped towing vehicles, to my knowledge, but we were north of 200 vehicles that were towed as well. You're right, this was one of the more difficult storms, and I think that our DPW has done a fabulous job, to be quite frank with you. 30 hours of work. I believe that I read a report in talking to the commissioner that just today we had the ability to send out a pothole crew, because currently right now, if anyone takes an opportunity to go by the old Lowell District Court, you'll see the amount of snow that we're storing over in that area, as well as over in Hamilton Canal. We are storing an awful lot of snow. The comparison to this, with people thinking in years past, most of the storms that we come in 2 to 3, 4, 5 inches at a time, it's manageable. With the brining and with the salt, we get an opportunity to essentially melt some of that off. With this 20-inch storm, followed by days upon, if not a week, of freezing temperatures, this has really caused a real problem. But the primary job over the last 2 weeks for the DPW and parks and whatnot, they've been out there removing snow, bringing it into some of the storage areas that we have. So I think they've been doing a great job, but to get to your point, we have been finding people. If anyone has an issue with that, please let us know, 311, or just give us a call. We'll send people out. Our DDS folks have been out making sure that the people are doing this. It is difficult. We're going to ask everyone to, once again, bear with us. This is a 20-inch storm that we haven't had an opportunity, really, to be truthful, where it's warmed up. It's warmed up for a day, maybe two, but everything that we're dealing with currently right now is frozen. So I just want to say thank you again to the DPW folks that have been out there hustling it. But to your point, Counselor, I know that I drove through your neighborhood on Saturday. There's a couple of neighborhoods, a couple of parks in that area. I think we could try to do that pilot program, which are going to be easy enough to be able to clear a pathway or runway for cars to get in and out of, to try to, take them off those streets. I mentioned this with Councilor Robinson over in his neck of the woods. It was very, very tight neighborhoods. Councilor Liang, we've had some challenges, some issues. We've talked about sending out yet another piece. Everybody knows that we sent out a trifold to remind everybody what to do and what not to do. We try not to fine it. We honestly are not looking to fine anybody. This is kind of like the bus piece. But quite frankly, if we start seeing people again throwing snow out into the street, that's going to be a problem. And we're dealing with, it's a city of 250 miles of roadway. We have a lot of, I'd say, independent contractors or bandits that are just out there that, quite frankly, are putting snow wherever they're not getting caught. So we'll try to buckle down on that, but I hope that answers your question, Counselor, but we will get to it. I know this is a pretty lengthy report, and I think with the freelance, plowers that we have out there, the issuing of fines, I just signed 4 new contracts today, as a matter of fact, for snow contractors. So if anybody is out there and looking to do additional work, please let us know. And the snow storage, is also a challenge.
All set, Councilor Scott? Thank you. Councilor Duran.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do want to thank the DPW for its hard work, and Assistant City Manager Machado for responding to so many requests from neighbors and residents. I know it's been several years since we've had a storm like this, and I don't think any of us remember what to do when it is this kind of storm. But I think Mr. Faria's points about how we think about how residents understand that the city has as good a handle as it can on these situations is helpful. That is, understanding what the procedures are when it is, as he suggested, a small storm versus a major storm. Understanding the priority of streets is the first thing, but if streets can't be plowed quickly because perhaps there's not enough equipment, when then should residents expect the next step? And again, for a big storm, that may be a lot longer, and we may have to have more patience as a community than we do otherwise. I think the report was helpful, but for instance, there are a lot of terminology, particularly in Section 3, that I really didn't understand. And so I think it would be helpful to make this report easier for everyone to understand. And I think the sort of last point I want to make is on the communications piece. I used to get the reverse 911 calls when snow emergencies were declared, but that hasn't happened this year. And I'm signed up for Civic Plus, but I got no notice by either email or phone. So either I'm doing something wrong or something is wrong in the system. But I know someone else in the prior storm never knew about the snow emergency. So again, maybe it's just me, but and if so, I'm happy to take a lesson. But if there's something else to be addressed, that would be good to fix before the next time around. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Duran. Councilor McDonough.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for the report from the DPW. I have a few questions, and I'll phrase them that way. When I was looking for winter operations and high pedestrian traffic locations, this came out of both my experience and having to walk around my district, and also from more pictures and emails and phone calls and text messages than I can still count. One of the questions that keeps coming up, and I lived this earlier last week, when we are prioritizing high pedestrian traffic locations, at what point do we get to the canal bridges over Western Canal that connects downtown to the Market Basket? Because that's like that's a very high impact piece of sidewalk. Thank you. That's to whoever can answer it. Thank you.
Commissioner St. Cyr.
Thank you. So I'll be happy to follow up with the Parks Department. We generally, as far as like the clearing on bridges and things like that, and I'll have to look at that one specifically. I wish I knew beforehand. I would have taken the ride by to find out the particulars, but I'll be happy to get you an answer about that tomorrow, about when it was done or what we need to do to it to come back to it. We found that there are some places that we do have to keep going back to, and we've been there a few different times, so I'll be happy to get you that answer.
Okay, thank you. While you're up there, just Mr. Mayor, through you to either the city manager or the DPW commissioner. Mr. St. Cyr, you just mentioned the Parks Department. I don't, and I may have missed it in the report. I did miss something in Ms. Oldman's report earlier, so I'm open to the possibility. Is the Parks Department responsible for sidewalks, or is it the DPW, or how do we know which department is in charge of what?
So the Parks Department is a division of the DPW.
Right.
And so as part of it, we take up different portions, different work that we do, and quite typically, just with the kind of machinery that they have, they do a lot of that work that's centered around sidewalks. There are certainly some contractors that we have that we use skids for, but they also have some other smaller equipment. They are out with snow blowers. They're occasionally having to shovel in places where there might be steps coming down to a walkway and things like that. So they tend to take the bulk of that work on.
Okay. Sorry, as I go back to this, the other piece here, and it's just, I just don't see a whole lot of specifics to the city of Lowell in this particular section of the report. When should residents, and I understand 18 inches of snow, and it's a historic amount of snow, and all the things that go along with that. However, 2 to 3 weeks out from a storm, we still can't get across the intersection in front of City Hall because there are piles of snow at the Ladd Whitney and at the, not now, now they're clear. They are clear now, thank you. But it took several weeks. What is the, what is the protocol? What is the winter operation protocol in high pedestrian traffic locations, I guess, is what I'm asking. I read this report and I come away no smarter as to how we're prioritizing areas both in downtown and out, and who's responsible for what, and when residents can expect that work to be done.
Mr. St. Cyr.
So basically, the way the city is broken down into separate areas by, more or less by neighborhoods, and then broken into subsections of that. Within that, a spotter is responsible for that area, and they take on different tasks depending on whether they have several schools that are there and things like that. So there's kind of a checklist that they go through for those kinds of items. I'd say, one of the frustrations that many of us, I'm sure you've seen it, if driving around, that you get a street clear and then somebody is filling the street back in. It's not helpful, and it makes it very difficult for us to try and get our job done. Understanding all the while that, where does the snow go, especially when you're getting better than 20 inches in one whack. I think some of the other things that make it difficult is the staffing for it. When the snowstorm goes on for such a long period of time, being able to keep staff on and up and get through that makes it really difficult, as well as the fact that contractors, it's a challenge for all communities, but in particular for urban communities, because there are much easier places to plow. When there are no cars on the streets, when there isn't a car taking the corner that a plow can't get around, or cars parked on sidewalks, it makes it just, that much more difficult to try and get through this process. There's no two ways about it, especially when there's a hefty snowstorm like this.
That makes sense. I guess I am just looking for a better understanding of what the pedestrian piece of this looks like. I understand that the difficulties of getting contractors, the difficulty of getting the streets clear, but I also see that there are 2 side-by-sides in my parking garage on most days. And so I guess what I'm looking for, and I'm not looking to tell anyone how to do this job, I'm just looking for clearer information about how this piece is being done. So thank you.
Council Liang, you're the last one who had a motion on this, so. You're up next if you'd like, or we can go to someone else.
I'm fine. Just thank you for the manager for the motion response. Hopefully we get some information. Thank you so much for doing that. I don't have anything else.
Thank you, Council Liang. Councilor Robinson.
Thank you. Thank you for this report. Realistically, going through this report, one thing that's clear to me by reading this report, there are no SOPs. We're winging this. I think half of this report looks like it was generated from Chat GPT. We're asking about prioritized pedestrian walkway areas and what's the protocol. And we get sections about calibrating salt and sand equipment. And then there's mention of sand where EPA has banned us from using sand. So I don't even know why that's included in this. One of the problems that I see is we have no routes. There's no established routes. And as far as walkways and bridges go, and we're saying the Parks Department handles that kind of work, where's the list of their responsible walkways and bridges, pedestrian? Canal bridges, Rourke Bridge, bus stops, all public areas, Beacon Street, up by Kittredge Park, all of the pedestrian walkways, those have been identified. I get it, this was a 20-inch plus storm. We got 20 plus inches in every community. In 2015, a 20-inch storm happened 3 times a week. We had no problems like this. I can point to the point where West 6th and Hampshire Street, I've pointed this out for 4 years. It's a 15-child bus stop. To this day, it still has not been touched. We have spent, it looks like, on contractors so far, max exposure, $2.186 million this year. I understand that, but we're calling contractors in, and they don't even have guidance or direction. It's like they're running around the neighborhoods trying to figure out what to do. Most communities only call contractors in towards the last third of the storm, and there's a system. I know in one community, contractors come in only to do the side roads that the large equipment that in-house employees can't get down. And they called in the last third so they can scrape that. So by the time the mains and the sides are all scraped, the regular employees go back and salt. There's no coordination going on, and it's apparent. In many instances, at least in Centerville I can speak to, cars were moved. We still didn't open curb to curb. I had to call today for Vincent Street, where they went down the middle of the road, it's a 2-lane road, and left 10-foot banks on each side. Here we are a month after a 20-inch storm. So a lot of this stuff that is responded to in here, it sounds great on paper, but in actuality, it's not happening. Yes, we had cold spell. We didn't get melting in between. Salt is only to break the bonding barrier between the surface and precipitation. It's not meant to melt away our woes. Once we pre-treat, with cold weather like that and a 20-inch storm, we should just be scraping until you get ice pack and then you drop a little material to break it. That's the function of winter operations. If we look across the street here, we have snowbanks. So in a situation where you have that frigid temperatures, why wouldn't we pivot into a heavy focus on snow removal during straight time? It doesn't have to be on overtime because we can work in areas, especially the dense areas. Centerville, Elmwood Street, a perfect example again. You still are slipping and sliding all the way up and down the thing. You can barely get down it. That's where we're not pivoting into the snow removal. You cannot plow. I see not many big trucks that are run by the city unless it's snowing. But I do see city employees jumping in 1-tons and being directed to go do parking lots, like if that's a priority. For the 15 years I was an employee here, parking lots were a last thought. We made sure everything was open curb to curb. Corners were pushed back. If we knew we pushed back corners, your spotters should be keeping an eye on the contractors to ensure that they're doing what they're brought in to do. We're giving blank checks to contractors and the work's not getting done. And our employees don't just come in when they want, decide what they want to do, and have at it. It starts at the top. It starts with a clear focus plan and guideline for our employees to come in so everybody knows what they're doing in a 20-inch storm or a 2-inch storm. It doesn't matter. I don't see us having a solid plan of attack. And I think that's why we're all being bombarded from the residents saying, what about us? And I'm not pointing fingers to anybody, but I think we have a lot of work to do to improve on this. I'm hoping that there's a running list of equipment for capital improvements going on over the next X amount of years that you're generating to allow our employees and yourself to do a better job. I'm hoping that there is an accurate plan and list of who's responsible for what are our high pedestrian areas. I mean, outside of obviously the emergency to and froms, we still have to focus on the side streets. I've had a woman that's a nurse reach out to me. Her side street didn't get touched for 3 days after the storm. She has to respond to medical calls in her daily activities. I mean, and I get it. People get exhausted. It is 30 hours straight. I do it myself. I understand. But what I think has to happen is maybe that's the time when our employees are getting exhausted, you bring contractors in. I don't see how contractors are coming in from this first snowflake until they had enough and then they come back. I think we need to coordinate better and come up with a better plan of attack, standard SOP on all of this. And that way, it shouldn't take 3-4 weeks to spit out a report. When a question is raised by the council saying, what are we doing for high pedestrian areas? It should be a matter of going to the computer and press and print. It shouldn't be, I have to generate this whole report where I think a lot of this gets lost. It's not, I mean, there's talking here about figuring out better ways to plow at an angle for the curb. You scrape curb to curb. Unfortunately, the residents at home, here's how it goes. You are gonna get snow on your sidewalks. It's inevitable. That's the reality of it. I tell everybody, if you clear your driveway, leave the last 2 feet of snow there until the storm is completely done, because as plows go by, the snow's gonna find any void it can and it's gonna backfill you. So if you don't wanna be competing with our plows as they're trying to get the roads done, leave 2 feet of snow at the end of your driveway so the snow bounces off of it. We need to do better because, I mean, yes, I understand it might be the first 20-inch storm for a lot of this management team, but it's not the first 20-inch storm the city of Lowell has been through. And I hope the next 20-inch storm, we see major improvement. Thank you.
Councilor Mercia, could you take the podium, please?
May I get you?
Thank you. You know, when you look at this report, Mr. Manager, I'm hoping that in the future we don't combine 4 motions together because it gets so convoluted. Everything is all over the map. Half of this report was generated through cut and paste. When you look at it, can I, through you, Councilor Mercia, to the DPW director? Do you guys have any wing blades?
No.
You reported you do.
There's a typo there. It should have an X out through it. I'm sorry.
Do we put sand on roads?
No.
Okay, so the cut and paste pieces are the piece that are bothersome. This to me looks like a public relations report more than it looks like a DPW function. When you start looking at some of this stuff, do we have routes for the sidewalk machines to go to?
Yes.
How many routes do we have?
Well, it's broken up depending on the type and amount of equipment that we have available. And so it's broken up and assigned by spotter or to the person running parks.
So we don't have an answer to how many routes we have. How many routes do we have? If you had all the equipment in the world, how many routes do we have?
I would say it's 6 is how it would generally break down.
So 6 routes, and you got 4 sections of the city, or is there 6 sections of the city?
No, it's broken down by kind of the density and how much work is in a particular area. So obviously, there's a lot more for downtown, as a for instance. So if we're breaking downtown into two and then breaking the other four parts of the city apart.
So no other real section of the city gets that type of equipment, is what you're
Sorry?
saying? So no other section of the city gets the sidewalk equipment. Downtown gets how many pieces of the 6?
So for sidewalk equipment downtown, there's probably 7 or 8 types of equipment that are down there in total. And then there are contract pieces that are spread amongst the other parts of the city, as well as some of the parks equipment.
In your report, you highlight that you talk to the police, you talk to different divisions, but you don't highlight you talk to the schools. Do we talk to the custodians and see where they end off, where we start? How do we create these safe areas around the schools?
So we have, those areas are all highlighted and by the type of equipment that goes there through the GIS system we have. And so that is something that's shared with the school department. They know, where our portion is, where we pick up, and where their portion picks up. This has been in place for years. Even when I was on the school side, we used the same version.
Do you think it should have an update to it? Because it's not meeting the expectations of the residents? People are walking in the middle of the roads for a while, so shouldn't we look at these pieces and update these things that have been in place for years?
I agree that it could use some updating, Counselor, and I think the other challenge that we have to get around is the fact that as little as 5 years ago, we had more pieces of equipment that were able to do this type of clearing.
So what happened to them?
So I think like every community and what they're facing, getting contractors to do this work has been a huge challenge. As I'm sure you've seen the MMB boards that have been around everywhere and on our website. We're looking for contractors all the time.
You led me right into my question. So the contractors, we hire contractors, half of them I wouldn't let plow my driveway. They don't know how to tuck corners. They tuck them right at the corner rather than going 5 to 10 feet down the corner and pushing it back so people can see stuff. Do we have qualifications when we hire contractors? Do we have specific people that we know actually can plow? Or is it Eric's plowing company puts whoever he can find for that night in the truck? Do we know who the employees are, or is it just they can put whoever they want in the truck?
They can't just put whoever they want. They provide all of that with going through the contract process, including their insurance and so on. And then many of them are repeats who have not fallen off at this point. There are not a lot of new contractors that come on, but there are certainly they're the places where spotters can be doing their role, stiffening up what those expectations are.
When I drive this city, to me, it looks like people just got their first real storm. And they decided that they were going to push corners at 10 feet high banks rather than go 6, 7, 8 feet down the road, push it in. So on your end, it makes more work for you and your guys. So to me, it's a joke when you look at the DPW staff and how much now it's costing us. We're almost $3 million over what we budgeted because of that's projected what we're going to be over. I'm sorry, Mr. Manager, correct that. We're projecting $3 million over what we budgeted. And half of the cost is doing things twice and 3 times. It's like hiring someone to cut your lawn and it's 4 inches high and they cut off an inch and say, I'll be back. Well, let me hire, the homeowners out there cutting it. We're putting banks on corners that are a joke because if you pushed it 5 or 7 feet down the road, you could push it right onto the sidewalk and go. But they're going around in a circle. And I'm sure you noticed that. You're not the plow driver. You're just the guy who has to manage the middle management that has to manage through. And the sad part is the DPW workers are killing themselves trying to make corrections for people who have no clue on how to plow. And we're at the bottom of the barrel in this hiring process of plow drivers for the contractors. You can see it. I get more calls on this one red truck from one section of the city who keeps going around burying people. And then I'm getting calls on people who are watching somebody from our staff do things they shouldn't be doing. And then when you look around and you say, how come my phone's ringing this much? I worked in this for 37 winters doing the same stuff. I've never seen the calls I've seen and had to drive to and watch. And I'm not saying it's a DPW staff because I would hope that they're not the ones burying these corners and doing these things. But it seems like people in a rush. If you go to the top of Florence Road, they did it again. They pushed the snow across Pine Street and onto the guy's nice wall. And I got a call Mr. Machado, who I hate calling because I feel like I'm bothering him every 5 minutes, and say, do we have that same guy over there, or is it they don't know how to go around a corner with snow? And it just piles up. It's like a pig pile on this, and I don't know where our spotters are. They should be telling these guys, look, and maybe they are. Maybe they just don't have the quality of people to work with. And when you look at some of these things that are in this report, it's so vague. Sidewalks. Do you brine sidewalks?
It depends where. We are times that we would brine sidewalks down into downtown places that we would be able to get that equipment on the road. But collectively across the city, no.
I'll just look at one of the procedural things. You write roadways, what sequence they go in, and you say the major minor roads, the collectors, and locals. We don't even highlight the hills in here. The hills in Main Road should be highlighted directly in this. And we don't even highlight hills. I'm at like a loss for words at the amount of money, Mr. Manager, we're spending on this, and the time. We're spending more time. Yes, we can all sit here and we can all clap our hands. Everybody was out for this many hours. But do we need to be out this many hours? I don't know any employee who wants to be out 48 hours, fixing someone else's problem that they should have done in the first 24 hours. So now you're out there more hours, and now you got to bring trucks to move the snow when it's not a necessity. We need to do better, and we've been talking about this. The problem with our departments is we sit on our heels. For 4 years, we really didn't have snow. So now we get snow, we don't know what to do with snow in New England. It's like a new miracle. Snow fell in New England at 20 inches, and we're going to say 20 inches. But Mr. Baldwin, you out of all people in here should look at this report and say that there's wasteful spending within this because we're not having qualified people who are holding accountable. It's just tough to do, and I get that the pool's down that low to get there, but there has to be a rational and reasonable way to get this done. I drove by the senior center again today. On February 3rd, I sent over something asking that the senior center and in front the crosswalk be done. There's a snow pile that is in front of the crosswalk on the senior center side, not Market Basket side. Theirs is all nice and shoveled, so you can actually walk across that thing that we paint across the road called the crosswalk. You go on the senior center side, the mound's this high, and people got to crawl over it to get into the crosswalk to go over to Market Basket. I would say, a senior center, a crosswalk to a Market Basket would be a high priority. You walk out front here, you go over to the employees' parking lot. Try to walk across that crosswalk without walking into the parking area of the parking lot. The crosswalk has this much snow in it. I tried to walk through, and I'm like, does anybody do it in front of the crosswalk? Simple little things, and we drive by it every day. So that excuse is we don't know, and you need Sean McDonough to call or Councilor Chow to call you and tell you that the snowbank is in front of the senior center, or the employees who walk out to the parking lot can't realize that they got to walk over a snowbank and not into the path of people entering into a parking lot is ridiculous. Simple expectations would change what people think of all of us. And believe me, I agree, people worked a lot of hours. I agree that whole thing. I got phone calls that people weren't even called in the beginning of the snowstorm because we were spreading out the staff so that they would stay longer hours. I don't know if that's true or not, but these are things that we're getting that we're not keeping up. People need to be at work. We need to get all emergency vehicles to their priority places, and we need to get schools open as quick as possible and the safe routes to schools. And that's something that you can find the safe routes to schools through the DPD, or you can actually go over to the traffic engineer, and they can tell you what the safe routes to school is and where we get that spending. And they're not being done to what we do. When you left the DPW today, if you go by Putnam on Middlesex Street, there's a church on the corner. Was the sidewalk shoveled? It's got this much snow all the way across it. Wilder Street and Middlesex Street, there's a complex right there. All the sidewalks not shoveled. Kids are walking in the middle of the street to get to their bus stops. And we got to tell people that who drive trucks and machines by these locations every single day. That's hard to take. I can see if it was a back road somewhere and something wasn't done, but it's right in front of the people that we expect to do the positions. I thank you for your report. I just think that we should have solid information in here. When Mr. McDonough asked for a detailed report, I would think that you would bring in a separate motion, and it would have on it where exactly your plow routes are or your sidewalk routes are, and it would highlight, here are my 13 sidewalk routes. These are what we do. This is my priority. That's efficiency. That's how it works in every other community. You get a motion like that, you say, here's what we do. It's within 24 hours after the storm, we get these sidewalks and we move. And we don't see any of that. We see four motions put together with 5 councilors on it, and none of them are really the councilors who've been here, except for Councilor Scott, which I agree with you. It's a parking issue, and we have to take care of it. So I thank you for your time. I'm hoping that we can get better at this, and we start looking at ways of managing our money, because you know what? At the end of the day, in this thing, your projections, there's a lot of wasteful spending.
Councilor Scott.
Thank you. Just a couple follow-up questions, I guess. I also have the concerns around the crosswalks all not being done in the district. Is that also the responsibility for the homeowner to do if they have a crosswalk out in front of their home? Because none of the crosswalks around going to the Butler School, down Moore Street, none of them, they just hit a dead end. That's what you get for them. So that's definitely a concern that's been brought to my attention by a lot of residents. And my question that comes to mind from Mayor Giccia's comments is, how many spotters do we have on at any point in time, or every point in time during a snowstorm? And like, how many across the neighborhoods do we have consistently?
So there are 8, and those spotters actually mostly are responsible for dealing with contractors within their area. And then we have some different levels of foremen that are actually watching out for the routes for city vehicles and where they're going, whether they're, heavy or loaders or even, some of our smaller equipment that's going into different parts of the city.
Okay. So during this last storm, we consistently had 8 spotters on during the storm. I'm just curious, because I drove around during the storm, and, there was a lot of things that I brought it up. I said I feel bad for DPW workers and the plow drivers trying to plow in this city. It's very difficult. The cars, like I said, are blocking the roads. I think it's a huge issue that I think unless that is addressed, then we're just going to keep having this conversation every time we have a big snowstorm, because I think we're putting everybody in an impossible situation.
It's true.
So that's my concern. Thank you.
Councilor Robinson.
I just have a quick question, Mr. Mayor, through you to the DPW Commissioner. I know year-round we reimburse our employees in-house for licensure, hoisting licenses in particular.
Yes.
How many Bobcats do we have that go out on a storm like that now, in-house? I'm talking
7.
7? And so pretty much, are you doing 1 per area? Because again, I mean, if we have operators by title that we're paying that operator rate of pay all year, we're reimbursing for the licenses, why would we be putting them in 1-ton trucks if that's the situation here? And I understand, I know some people do not like to operate, but unfortunately that's the job. And in dense areas like Lower Centerville, Back Central, Lower Highlands, over in South Lowell, certain areas in South Lowell, we don't see the Bobcats. We don't see the small pieces of equipment. We see the 1-tons. A lot of the subs are coming to those areas, but in reality, they're not effective. In reality, there's really no creative effort to try to address some of the areas we know. Another perfect example was in Centerville. We had 3 weeks of missed pickups for recycling and trash. When asked what's going on over here, well, the trash company is telling us that they can't get down a lot of these streets. My simple question was, do we have an active list of those streets, and are we prioritizing that? I don't know, or no. Those are the problems that our residents should not have to deal with. When I'm seeing snowbanks with 9 purple overflow bags scattered on the snowbank and trash just sitting out in the open for weeks on end due to our lack of snow removal, we have a major problem here. And again, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse here. I'm trying to really emphasize, from the standpoint of the council, I have never received that many calls. When I was an employee here in 2015, I never received complaints like that just out and about in the public and that was unbelievable. I don't know if you were working in the city at that time. We had to utilize the Dutton Street snow dump, and we still had snow that was melting in June. That's how much snow the city was hauling away. But I think we all have to get together, figure out a plan that works for everybody, because from an employee standpoint, I'll tell you one thing. One of the reasons I think we're having a hard time keeping our employees on the clock is because if they don't feel like there's any guidance or direction on a frustrating occupation as is, when you're in for 30 plus hours, nobody wants to be there. And when you have no clear-cut guidance or pretty much marching orders, you feel like you're spinning your wheels and staying in place, and it ends up being overwhelming. And so I think the more we can improve on direction, leadership, guidance, and how we go about attacking this, the more you'll see employees start to buy in and ride that wave and stick out and do the little extras. Grab that extra load of material to make sure that their area is better than just good. And I think it's a long process, and I think you are up for the challenge. I know I've seen in other areas you've stepped up and really addressed above and beyond, and I'm hoping that we can get to that with this winter operations. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Councilor McDonough.
Thank you. I only have two questions. I think almost everything that can be said has been said. My first question is, I'm just looking for a little bit of clarification on what these miscellaneous charges are. Not like an item by item here, but I mean that's a really big amount of money and a considerable overage.
CFO Baldwin.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So in the snow and ice budget as a whole, there are 4 different accounts. One for overtime for DPW employees, one for the cost for contractors, for the snow plows, one for the cost for the salt that we buy for the streets, and then one for everything else. Now, that is a miscellaneous account. So by nature, it includes all types of things. We charge, I think the largest single expenditure would be parts for the vehicles when they're damaged or when they need repairs for winter-related accidents or wear and tear on the vehicles. It is also the account that we charge the fuel related to the snow and ice events. So we prorate the cost for the fuel and apply it to that account because it is related to the storm. There are other types of expenses, like our collective bargaining agreements require us to provide food for the DPW employees in 1705 and the other bargaining units. Those amounts are charged to miscellaneous, et cetera, et cetera. I would say that the single largest expenditure would be for sort of parts for equipment, and when things break, plows, frames, et cetera, they have to be broken during the storm to be eligible for snow and ice. And it does bear mentioning that this is one of the very few accounts under the general laws that we can deficit spend against. So we budget 1.35 million. You can see from the report that with the encumbrances, we will exceed that and perhaps to a larger amount. However, it is the normal course of business that we have encumbrances for the full value of all the contracts. We will only be billed for the time that is spent and authorized by DPW, and then we'll close out those encumbrances. So by the time we get to April or May, we'll have a better sense of what, if any, deficit there is in the snow and ice accounts. I hope that helps.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you. I was just curious at the size of the number, but I mean, parts for vehicles and fuel, those are both very expensive, and I'm sure we used a lot of it. My last question is, do I need to file this again, or can I get a better response to the original motion with some standard operating procedures? Thank you.
Manager Golden.
We can take that back if you wish.
Councilor Duran.
Yeah, and I would ask for a similar kind of improved response. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to accept the plan and place it on file by Councilor Duran, seconded by Councilor Dakota. 7.1C, motion response, pedestrian safety. Councilor Liang.
I already mentioned that one already, so let's move on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to accept and place on file by Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor Robinson. 7.1D, motion response, FY26 year-to-date budget update, FY27 budget outlook and forecast. Councilor Duran. No, we have a registered speaker, I'm sorry.
Ricardo Solis.
Mayor and the respected members, I'd like to say one thing. We have one of the best police departments in the nation. The Lowell Police Department has integrity. They have looked over each one of us and have made sure that we're protected. But I have to say one thing. I came from Los Angeles, which is one of the largest jail systems in the nation. If we do not provide the Lowell Police Department with the equipment they need, we're setting them up. Also, with the opium crisis that is occurring right now, we're tying these officers their hands behind their backs. It's not fair. They have a duty to protect each one of us. These officers have the greatest responsibility in protecting you and I and the community. And for us to take them away to take care of the opium crisis, we're making them vulnerable. I say that we do not forget these officers at all, but if we set aside a special budget for them to keep doing their job, because there's going to be a future, and that future is going to come consequences if we're not prepared. We need to prepare the police department here in Lowell, because Lowell is growing. And as everyone knows, Lowell is also the tunnel of all the drug activities. Everyone knows, come to Lowell and buy the drugs. Everyone knows. And it's up to us, the community, you as the committee, to make sure the Lowell Police Department has everything they need. I respect them, I honor them, and I'm proud that they're my officers to protect me. And I just say this. Thank you.
Thank you. You have another registered speaker?
Ryan Faria.
Thank you. Ryan Faria, Campbell Drive again. I just wanted to say, Mr. Baldwin, thank you for the update. This is really informative. There were a few things. First off, I want to say I appreciate the listening sessions. I think having 5 different ones separated by category is really helpful, so the people who are interested in those specific areas of the budget, some of them much bigger than others, can come. I had a couple concerns. I'm really looking forward, Mr. Manager and Mr. CFO, as to what the plan is with the sunset of ARPA and how we're going to manage the nearly $2 million of employee salaries under ARPA. Of course, the 3 individuals that are administering ARPA, those will be easy to fall off, but we have nearly $1 million in the MIS department that needs to be either taken on by the taxpayers or reduced from a budget perspective. And then finally, I had a question around the trash and recycle detail. So the motion responds very similar to this back from the end of last term, December 16th. It talked a little bit how the overall need to break even was about $8 million for the totes. That boiled down to around $306 per household. There was an increase in the senior rate from 50 to 75, and it sounded like there was a decrease in the 2 and 3 families, but it wasn't very clear to me. And it also didn't touch on how the single families are going to be impacted. So I'm all for non-owner occupied paying more than the 306, but I'm really curious as to why multi-families would receive a discount if they're using 3 times the trash or 2 times the trash than a single family. So I'm hoping to understand that a little bit better as part of this. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Faria. Councilor Duran.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is a quite extensive report, and I think we probably all will have questions as we dig into things in detail. The listening sessions, I think, are going to be really helpful and informative. And I have spoken with my colleagues on the Finance Subcommittee, so we will hold off on having the Finance Subcommittee meeting until we've had at least one or a couple of the listening sessions. And I've confirmed that with CFO Baldwin. It would be helpful, I think, for folks in the audience to know, because the first listening session is next week from 5 to 6 p.m., where that will be held, and if there are any other instructions for folks. And I think then, after that, we'll be digging in more deeply into the details of this 48-page document.
Thank you, Councilor Duran. Motion to accept and place on file by Councilor McDonough, seconded by Councilor Chow. Oh, did you have a comment? CFO Baldwin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to address Councilor Duran's questions about the listening session and some of the commentary from the public. We'd be happy to address that. There's a trash item that's a separate item in an informational report, and maybe we can provide some clarification under that when we get to it in the agenda. We are very much excited about the listening sessions. We've offered these, albeit at a smaller batch in the past, but we're doing 5 this year. The next one, as was mentioned, is next Tuesday. That'll be here in City Hall in the Mayor's reception room at 5 o'clock. Each one of these will have a separate theme, so you can pick your favorite theme or come to all 5. We'd love to have everybody there. We look forward to members of the public. We'll have sort of an opening overview from either the city manager or myself, and there'll be sort of a video that'll walk through some of the challenges, and then we'll save some room at the end within the hour for some question and answer from the public. But the schedule, Mr. Mayor, if I may, the first one will be on February 24th at 5 o'clock in the Mayor's reception room. The second one on March the 10th. Again, in the Mayor's reception room. That one will be focused more on capital improvements, on debt, on how we fund the bigger things. The third one will be focused on the Department of Public Works funding, some of the items we just spoke about a minute ago. That'll be on March the 24th at 5 o'clock. Again, and these are all in the Mayor's reception room here at City Hall, 375 Merrimack Street. The fourth one will be in April the 7th at 5 o'clock, and that one will focus on the Department of Planning and Development, some of the development projects and economic development initiatives, as well as some of the park projects, ARPA, et cetera, that DPD has been working on for the last few years. And then the final listening session will be on April the 21st, again at 5 o'clock. Again at City Hall, Mayor's reception room. That will be focused on public safety, the Lowell Police Department, the Lowell Fire Department, perhaps development services to round out the holistic public safety, and that will be the 5 of them. These are subject to change if there's weather in the meantime, but those are that's the schedule as we have it now. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, CFO Baldwin. Motion to accept and place on file by Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor McDonough.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Mercia.
before we get into 7.2 informational reports, if I could suspend the rules and ask the council if I could suspend the rules and talk about a particular note that I got in my door today. I just wanted to, it would.
Motion by Councilor Mercia, suspend the rules, talk about a note that she got in a mail today, seconded by Councilor McDonough. Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We tend to hear a lot of complaints, and rightfully so at times, about snow and this, that, and the other. I'd just like to interject a note that I received today by a neighbor, a person in my neighborhood, lives alone, kind of panicked a bit. I didn't realize it. I wasn't around, but managed to put a note in my door, and I'd like to share it with the audience here and my colleagues, because I thought we hear so much of complaints and things like that, and I thought this was, I think when people do a good job, they should be acknowledged. She says, "Attention, Rita Mercia, Lowell City Councilor. I just wanted you, the City Council, the manager, and the mayor to know what a very nice experience I had with the City of Lowell." Isn't that amazing? With the City of Lowell Water Department. On Super Bowl Sunday, I discovered a leak in my basement. Thought it was my washing machine. All the mats were soaking wet. However, it was my water meter that was leaking. I called the water department in the morning and was pleasantly greeted by Miss Kelly. Now, I don't know who she's talking about, so I'm not doing it to put a feather in their cap, but I think they should be commended. I explained the situation, and she said she would have someone out there within an hour. Now, this is Super Bowl Sunday. I would have been watching the Super Bowl, but someone has to work here. She also gave me her extension and told me to call back if I had any questions. A very nice gentleman, Scott, arrived within the hour. He got right to work, had all the necessary equipment with him, replaced some parts, and all was fine. Because he had to shut off the water, he went the extra step and gently turned all my faucets to a very slow stream so as not to damage any pipes from the high water pressure in our area. The service I received was better than any private contractor or service person that I have dealt with over the years. Kudos to the City of Lowell Water Department, especially Kelly and Scott. I just had to bring that up. We always will be the first, and I would be the first probably to complain. This is something nice. And a woman that could care, I don't think, wouldn't bother anybody, was so grateful. I wanted to share that with everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilor Mercier. Going back to the agenda, 7.2 information reports. Information report SS4A. Mr. Manager? Ms. Altman, I'm sorry.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to put in an informational report saying that over the past year, we have been working with the communities in 3 of our denser neighborhoods to put together a supplemental Vision Zero action plan to supplement the NEMCOG Regional Vision Zero Action Plan. The report is quite extensive. It is online. I did not want to put it in your packets, but I am happy to talk to a subcommittee, or I can certainly bring it to the whole City Council if you would like. But the end result was we came up with 3 streets that we prepared some concept plans for speed management. One was Central Street in Back Central, Westford Street in the Lower Highlands, and Fletcher Street in the Acre. Once we have the council's approval of the action plan and the resolution that is before you later on this evening, it sets us up for more federal funding through this Safe Streets for All program. We had a great consultant. We had a good turnout from all the neighborhoods when we went and visited them. Good response online. So I think we got a really nice report. I encourage you all to take a look at it, and if you would like me to come to a subcommittee meeting, I'm happy to do that or present it to council.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the report and for that lead. Maybe we can refer this to the appropriate subcommittee, the Neighborhood Subcommittee of Public Safety.
Motion by Councilor Chow to send this to the Neighborhood Subcommittee.
Or
Seconded by-
Transportation Subcommittee, I would suggest maybe.
Okay.
Motion by Councilor Chow to send it to the Transportation Subcommittee, seconded by Councilor Scott. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. 7.2 information report, City Hall, Go Lowell. Assistant City Manager, Ms. Altman.
Here I am again. So I wanted to just provide you all an update on the City Hall Go Lowell project. We have a contractor under construction, start date sometime in the next few weeks, bearing the weather. The concept plan that is in your packets is slightly outdated, but gives you the general idea of what's happening. Improved crossings, reduced width for people to cross, better bus stops.
just a better layout for pedestrians and to make the front of City Hall much more welcoming to the general public. Where you see the flowers that are faded now, that's pretty much where the bump outs will be. There will be a two-way bike lane that extends from City Hall down to the Acre Crossing project at Cabot Street. So that will not remove any on-street parking. So we are hoping to increase our ability to connect with the UMass Lowell students in the University Crossing facility and to the various campuses that way, so we can encourage more students to take their scooters and their bikes and come downtown. So you'll see a lot of activity on Merrimack Street in the next 6 months, and bear with me as construction can be disruptive, but I think we'll have a great product at the end. We will have a website that we will update regularly with what's happening when, so people will know what's going on. Access to City Hall will be maintained. No problems with any of the festivals or ceremonies that happen here.
Thank you, Ms. Altman. Councilor Duran.
Thank you, Ms. Altman, and Mr. Mayor. I thought it's helpful to see the photo of what this will look like. And on Cardinal O'Connell Parkway, it looks like there will be, I don't know how you'd call it, sort of angled parking along there. Will that, and then on the question will be whether we have sort of the same number of spaces, but I wanted to understand on the other side, on the Smith-Baker side, what will happen there and how, if anything, about what's going on with the Smith-Baker Center will impact parking there. So how many spaces, or is it equivalent? And then how will the Smith-Baker work affect things?
Right. Right now, with the Smith-Baker as it is, the Jersey barriers are prohibiting our final vision for Cardinal O'Connell. What I would like to do, and what the designers have envisioned too, is fixing the intersection of Market Street and Cardinal O'Connell, which I'm sure if you've driven through it ever, you know it's very confusing and wide and hard on pedestrians. So the vision is to make it a better four-way stop at the Smith-Baker side. So make that two-way, essentially keep the parking that's along the Smith-Baker removed, to make that a two-way street, and then replace the parking with some angled parking on the Cafe Eclipse side. So that will also enable that section of Cardinal O'Connell to be closed off for various events and emergency services during Folk Fest and things like that. So it makes it, we can still get by on Cardinal O'Connell. If the Jersey barriers still need to stay, we will still have the two one-way traffic flow for the time being, but once we have a solution for the Smith-Baker Jersey barriers, we'll make that a two-way road.
Councilor Duran.
And so maybe that is the question, what is the timing of the Smith-Baker Center work and its impact on and I'm not sure if that's to you. Yes, I understand. It might be to Assistant City Manager Baez Rose.
Assistant City Manager Baez Rose.
Sure. So we have to get to a sale of the Smith-Baker property, but a part of the RFP when that property was put out included pretty strict timelines for ensuring that there was work done to either secure the shingles on the roof
or wrap the building within 6 months. And so that is the timeline that the respondents had agreed to. Obviously, they can't do that prior to taking ownership of the building, but we prioritized the need to secure those shingles, or at minimum wrap the building, knowing that we eventually do want to get to a place where we can make these improvements to Cardinal O'Connell. So it's sort of, they have 6 months, but from when, ownership happens, and we don't have a clear timeline yet on that.
So the geometry wouldn't change, so it's just striping, right? So as soon as something happens with the Smith Baker, we can go in and stripe it the way we'd like to.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Duran. Councilor Dakota.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To Ms. Baez-Rose, you just said you don't know when. Or do we have a timetable here, or why is this taking so long? Anybody, I guess.
Yeah, I think I would defer to the law department on whether or not they have an idea on the timing.
Mr. Williams?
Solicitor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So at this point, we spoke to attorneys for the buyer, and let me bring it up right here. We are 2 weeks out at this point. As of last week, that was the plan. And then we can move forward. I don't foresee any issues.
Couple of weeks?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Dakota. Motion to accept and place on file by Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor Robinson. 7.2 Information Report, Refuse. City Manager Golden.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and through to the council. Councilors, this is something that we've been working with, at least since I've been here, and quite frankly, since 2008. As everybody knows, in 2008, well, most people know for the edification of the folks listening at home, it's when we actually had the opportunity to see the Burgundy cart. Prior to 2008, people were allowed to put as many barrels out as they wanted. So back in 2008, the decision was to go to a 64-gallon cart. And if anyone remembers the green box that we had that went along with it. So throughout the years, we then went to a larger green recycling bin, and at that time, there was another country that was taking every bit of recycling that the cities like Lowell could provide. In 2018, that recycling went away for the most part, 2018, 2019. So getting into the cost process, in 2008, it was $125 is what we had charged. Back in 2024, we had recognized that it would be an increase in costs. The council at that time decided to go up $100 to $225 for homeowners, $425 to absentee or investors, landlords, and $50 for seniors. So what we're looking at is the deficit that this fund has been running, as you can see in the report, is almost close to $50 million over the time. How has this been happening? The tax levy essentially has been picking up this service. So what we're looking to do is to bring something to everyone next week and really change this into a fee-for-service. Now, a fee-for-service would be exactly what we do with water, wastewater, even parking to some extent. But the deficit is really, I think, making a negative impact on our general fund. This year, what we're looking to do, and I'm very proud of what DPW, Commissioner St. Cyr, as well as his team has done on this, because what we've done for the first time in probably 10 years plus, we've lined up the collections and lined up the disposal fee. So that is your tipping fee as well as the folks who come to your home. That economy of scope has really made a difference. Over the past bidding season, we had 4 bidders. So we know that surrounding towns are paying, in the average, about $425 per household per year. And as we can remind everybody, and anyone knows this, it's 52 weeks a year. They show up to your house, and then they show up for 26 weeks to pick up your recycling, and then I believe it's 13 weeks for your leaf and things of that nature. So we're looking to bring this forward. We've picked up extra trucks routed. I think that with this bidding that we had put forth, with those 4 bidders, we've really, truthfully, done a great job in this matter. However, I think it's time that this council and this administration, quite frankly, look to move forward to an enterprise fund. And the enterprise fund, I'm going to say it anyways, the pricing that we're looking at right now is for single-family homes would go from $225 to $325-ish. And it's a dollar figure that we're still pushing for the next week. The absentee landlords or the investors are going to go from $425 to $525, and our seniors would stay at $50. Now, why is this important? Because I think that this will give some relief to our overall budget and actually pay for the service that people are receiving. So that is, in a nutshell, with the hauling and disposal expenses that are before us, we're going to be locked in for the next 3 years. So with this new rate, my anticipation would be that it will not go up, item number 1. And item number 2, it gives the budget overall, the budget, once again, it gets hit anywhere from as high as $4 million to $2 million, $1.9 million, anytime in that range. So this is something to be brought forward in a couple of weeks, and then an actual vote if the council is looking to do that. But once again, I think it's important to note that I'm very proud of lining up both of these pieces, and it's the first time we've actually gone out for a bid in 10 plus years. And I think that the bid in a few weeks, next week when we bring it forward, I think that you're going to see that there is a savings here. And quite frankly, when we start to look at what other people are paying, I think we've done a darn good job, to be truthful. This, like I stated earlier, the surrounding towns are paying $425, and my hope is to be at least $100 under that for single-family homes, and providing some relief overall to the general fund. I'll gladly take any questions on this at this time, but this is what I'd like to try to do for next week. Allow people to know what is going on and what is happening with this. But once again, this would be the opportunity for us to actually charge the correct amount for the fee, for the service that is being provided. Because if we don't do it this way, it's going to come out of the budget as it has been for the last, since 2008. So, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I have a few questions on this. So if we switch to an enterprise fund, then we're basically taking the $3 million that we fund through the general fund, and we're going to move that over to taxpayers, correct? To fund that instead. It's going to be a self-serving, self-funding fund. So we're going to obviously have increases, as you just said. Do we still have a solid waste and recycling committee? I know back in the day we did, and some of the things that they looked at were, yard waste cuts, whether or not we should be doing yard waste. Like as someone that maybe doesn't use the service, everyone might not want to be paying for that. Could you move to smaller size barrels going forward? We fill our recycling overflowing every 2 weeks. The trash barrels, empty almost every week. So I'm just curious if there's other things that we could look at. And then on the other side of things, on enforcement, do we have cameras on all the trucks right now? The trash trucks? Is that part of the contract?
That is
I'm sorry?
Mr. Mayor, through you to the council. That is part of the contract. I'll have to check. By next week, we'll have that answer if all the vehicles have those cameras.
Right, because
But
they should not be picking up overflowing barrels. Because, you're asking for an increase that basically I'm going to be subsidizing people that just don't follow the rules. And that really gets people annoyed, residents annoyed. So those are kind of things that I'd ask that we look at before we move to this, especially, like I said, the smaller barrel possibly. Maybe there's a 3-tier type of system where, you don't use as much trash, you don't pay as much, kind of like a pay-as-you-throw type of system, except with barrels. So, thank you.
Mr. Manager. Councilor Duran.
I just had a question through you, Mr. Mayor, to the city manager. You mentioned you'd aligned 2 things. Maybe you could explain what those are, because I'm not familiar with the concept.
Manager Golden.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through you to the council. Council, the collections is the company that comes to your door. And then they're the folks that we see every single day, literally every single day here in the city. The disposal company is where we actually tip the trash. hopefully that, believe me, there's a different language that I've even learned. So it's the disposal part is where we actually get rid of waste management currently right now when they show up to your property. Yeah, Wheel Liberator? Yeah, Wheel Liberator actually is the disposal company, and I think they're in Haverhill, up off of 495.
So one company picks up the trash, that's the collections, and then the company that actually takes it to the landfill or is the landfill is the disposal. Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. Council, and once again, what we had at one point was the disposal was a year after the collections. So by, bringing them together the way we did, we had an economy of the scope of what we were providing. And that actually, once again, for the first time, we went out, which is better than 10 years, that we had a real competition within four large collection companies. From the disposal, in the disposal world, there's only so many organizations or companies that dispose. That is going to be a problem that not just the city of Lowell is going to be dealing with, Commonwealth of Massachusetts is going to be dealing with. We have a composting program that is coming in 2030 that is going to be mandated by DEP, and that will set pricing is going to be extremely difficult in the years to come. But from this point forward, we believe, and by next week I should have the final numbers, but I'm pretty confident that 325 is the number, and if it's not 330, it'll be right in that range. And then the absent or the investor going from 425 to 525, and the senior staying at $50.
Councilor McDonough.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is remarkably something that I have almost zero stake in, because my building has to pay a private trash company to haul all of our stuff away, as do most people that live in downtown, although Back Central and Center, it gets messy in the rest of the district. I think Councilor Scott actually had a really good idea on making sure that we're charging for use. Building I live in, we were able to get we pay about $500 a week for 6 barrels. It's 4 trash, 4 recycling and 3 trash, because cardboard is really bulky. But we were able to reduce that because we don't actually produce that much trash. And I think when you're looking with older residents, and I know the senior rate is already low, but when you have just a couple living in a home or a single old person, they're not producing 64 gallons of waste. And they're not even close. It's much smaller. In making sure that we're charging people appropriately if they have overflowing barrels, or that we're charging for the second barrel, that we have a pricing that incentivizes people for putting less of a strain on this system, so that we're not kicking the can to everybody for one real waste happy neighbor. That's all.
Manager Golden.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. I can assure you, council, is that when that happens, people are fined. And I can tell you because I hear about it. And quite frankly, people are even fined when they're not putting stuff in the recycling bin the correct way. So our team does go out essentially 5 days a week to check on areas to the point to ensure that is actually indeed happening. So I can tell you that people do get fined for excessive, I suppose, excessively overfilling their trash bins. That's what the purple bags are for. So if you drive through the city as much as the assistant city manager and I do, there are times where you'll drive down a street and you will see a pickup, and a miss. It's not missed. You'll see the orange ticket on the top of it. And then people will make that phone call actually over to DPW and complain about, why did I get missed? You didn't get missed. You're getting fined. So because of the action that was taken. So that is definitely happening. But just to be clear, we're looking at the senior rate and keeping it flat at $50 per year. These are numbers that are per year. Okay.
Thank you, Council McDonough. Council Liang.
Yeah, Council McDonough also said what I was going to say also. Same along idea with Councilor Scott, where I believe some households do not produce that much waste, and I think there should be some option. Comes with that also improvement in services. I don't know what it looks like, but I think that option would be a good idea, and also a huge improvement into trash collection. That would be a big plus. Thank you.
I just have one quick comment. Where there's a reduction, there's an increase for somebody else, just so everyone understands that. The larger ones will go up if the other ones go down. All those in favor, motion to accept and place on file by Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor McDonough. 7.2, information report, letter of school funding for FY 2027. CFO Baldwin?
I'm recusing myself.
Sean McDonough is recusing himself.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and councilors. On your desk in the packet this evening is a copy of the letter we send each year to the superintendent of schools to notify them of the budgetary expectations for the next year. We also, and this is also mentioned in the earlier motion response, we've been notified by DESE of last year's certification of net school spending. So for the last year of net school spending, Lowell exceeded the requirement by $7.9 million. We are projected in FY 2026 to exceed that requirement again by $8.1 million. So in looking forward to FY 2027, we have received the Chapter 70 figures, the draft Chapter 70 figures from the governor's budget, which was released just a few weeks ago. The projected increase for Chapter 70 is over $14.5 million for the schools, and so our projection for the single line item appropriation to the Lowell Public Schools is $287.9 million. A copy of this letter was sent to the superintendent in an effort to try to coordinate as early as possible with the school department, but that is the communication, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, CFO Baldwin. Motion to accept and place on file by Councilor Dakota, seconded by Councilor Chow. 7.2, information report FY 27 budget instructions. CFO Baldwin.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor, and there are a number of financial items, so I beg the patience of the council. Next year's budget has begun in earnest, so this is a general update for the council. We have provided, and what is included in the packet is a copy of the instructions that were sent to department heads. So the process is governed by statute, and the timeline we pursue is according to that timeline in the statute. So we've asked all the department heads for their requests for next year. Those have come in. We have also, as you can see in the instructions, asked them for a Plan B. So they've been required to submit to us, in addition to their normal request, a 10% reduction. We have a lot of concerns about the next fiscal year. Some of those are laid out in the instructions. They have also been communicated in other communications to the City Council. But we have concerns with fixed costs. Our debt service we have talked about in this chamber a number of times, so I won't belabor that point. Debt service, pension, health insurance, those are all fixed costs that will be increasing next year. There is a 2% cost of living included in the existing collective bargaining round that will need to be included in next year. So all things being equal, we were looking at about a $7.7 million gap to close. With those requests coming in, that had the gap had widened a little bit, but we are still determining the second round of requests with the 10% reduction. So the purpose of this communication is to inform the council where we're at in the process. We do intend to deliver a balanced budget, which is our obligation under the law, to the council sometime in May, which you will note is an earlier date than what has been the case for many years. We're trying to get it to the council earlier so that there's an opportunity for more time at the council level to have a series of public hearings if that is your desire. But I'm happy to answer any questions that any of the councilors may have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, CFO Baldwin. Councilor Dakota.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the CFO. This is my third budget with this council, and I know the first two budgets we had brought up about the charter school reimbursements. And I believe we had sent a letter, City Manager Golden, to the legislators, and nothing has happened. This is a budget buster. I mean, it just seems to be going up and up and up, and nobody seems to care. So I would hope that we would contact our 3 state reps and say, you know, let's make something happen here, because this is getting serious now. And this is one of those budget areas that, you know, this needs to be taken seriously. Thank you.
CFO Baldwin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and your point is well taken, Councilor Dakota. The charter school assessment has, for many years, been a significant challenge for the city to meet that rising assessment. I guess, yes, we have communicated our concerns and our need for legislative relief to Beacon Hill. The one relief, the one component of relief that has come has not been legislative. It has been rather that the charter school on Middlesex Street has reached its capacity. And so, you know, we have seen a bit of a leveling off in terms of the assessment because the grades are not, they're no longer expanding. But in the report from the motion response earlier, and I hope we can dive into the weeds a little bit more during the subcommittee, that assessment still went up $1.7 million. So it is less burdensome, but still a burden, and your point is well taken. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Dakota. Motion to accept the report and place on file by Councilor Scott, seconded by Councilor Mercier. 7.2 Information Report, FY25 Free Cash Certification and Explanation. CFO Baldwin.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. There is a companion piece to this informational report. It is a vote later on in the agenda. So for this is our notification to the council that the city's free cash for last year has been certified by the Department of Revenue. Kudos to the city auditor in doing submitting the balance sheet to the Department of Revenue in a timely fashion. It is reporting is so incredibly important for the finance team, and we've gotten all of our reports in very timely this year. So there is a planned appropriation listed under the vote. We do have enough. This was a concern from budget time last year that perhaps we may not have enough free cash to pay ourselves back for stabilization. I am happy to report that we do, so we will be able to replenish, and that is included in the vote, an amount sufficient to pay ourselves back for these 3 separate items that were budgetary in nature. Number one, the $2.8 million that was used to mitigate the tax impact in the FY26 budget. Number two, the amount that was used to plug the parking enterprise. We'll be able to pay ourselves back for that. And then number three, the $2 million that was appropriated to the school department as part of the supplemental appropriation in FY 2026. So we will be able to pay all of those back, as well as meet our commitment to fund our OPEB policy at 5% of the free cash total. It is still a small amount towards a very large liability, but the rating agencies do look favorable upon those efforts. They do give us credit, so to speak, for fighting against the tide of those giant liabilities for pension and OPEB. So, later on in the agenda, we do have a recommendation. We would recommend the council approve that vote tonight so that we can move forward. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, CFO Baldwin. Councilor Duran.
A quick question. So assuming that the vote is taken and the money is moved from free cash to the various, the 3 other line items that you mentioned, how much will be in the stabilization fund once that transfer occurs?
Excellent question, Ms. Mayor.
CFO Bowen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I hate to do this, but I will estimate it will be around $17 million. So, and that's fresh in my mind because we were in the video last week, $16.9 million was the amount that we were saying. We took the money out of stabilization to stabilize the budget. We will be paying it back, so we'll be back on even ground. Unfortunately, this year we do not have sufficient free cash to increase the balance, but we will be back at even footing. That will satisfy the rating agencies. So we will be just right around $17 million, which is a high for the city of Lowell.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Duran. Motion to accept and place on file by Councilor Duran, seconded by Councilor Yang. 7.3, communication, reappointment of George Valaris and Troy DePezza to the Historic Board. Motion to accept by Councilor McDonough, seconded by Councilor Duran. Roll call.
Counselor Noon, Counselor Robinson, Counselor Rourke, Counselor Scott,
Yes.
Counselor Chow,
Yes.
Counselor Dakota,
Yes.
Mayor Getchia,
Yes.
Counselor Duran,
Yes.
Counselor Liang,
Yes.
Counselor McDonough,
Yes.
Counselor Mercia.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Manager, is anybody here from those appointments? No. Thank you. 8, vote from city manager. 8.1, vote, establish school bus violation stabilization fund. Waive full reading and second reading by title.
Mr. Mayor, I need to recuse myself again. It's a big night for it.
Mr. McDonough would like to recuse himself. Vote to establish a school bus violation stabilization fund as authorized by Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 5B, fourth paragraph, and to dedicate 100% of revenue collected from the school bus automated traffic enforcement camera fines into said fund to be used, subject to appropriation by a 2/3 majority of the city council and at the sole discretion of the city's chief financial officer to offset high transportation costs for the Lowell Public Schools, including but not limited to out-of-district special education transportation, fuel and maintenance costs, and safety improvements at bus stops, as well as additional enforcement measures and any other related expenses pertaining to enforcement measures.
Move for approval?
Move to approve by Councilor Dakota, seconded by
Seconded.
Councilor Mercier. Roll call.
Counselor Noon, Counselor Robinson, Counselor Rourke, Counselor Scott,
Yes.
Counselor Chow,
Yes.
Counselor Dakota,
Yes.
Mayor Getchia,
Yes.
Counselor Duran,
Yes.
Counselor Liang,
Yes.
Counselor McDonough, he recused, and Counselor Mercia.
Yes.
7 yeas, motion fails.
7 yeas. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4.
8.2, vote, accept, expend $250,000 FY26 earmarked funds, Hall Street Bridge. Waive full reading and second reading by title.
Can we?
Councilor Mercier, did you have a question? Vote, authorize the city manager acting through the Department of Planning and Development to accept and expend fiscal year 2026 earmark funds in the amount of $250,000 from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Department of Transportation. Motion to accept, motion to accept by Councilor Scott, seconded by Councilor Mercier. Roll call.
Counselor Noon, Counselor Robinson, Counselor Rourke, Counselor Scott,
Yes.
Counselor Chow,
Yes.
Counselor Dakota,
Yes.
Mayor Getchia,
Yes.
Counselor Duran,
Yes.
Counselor Liang,
Yes.
Counselor McDonough,
Yes.
Counselor Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Mercier.
Mr. Mayor, can we bundle 8.3, 4, and 5?
Motion by Councilor Mercier to bundle 8.3.
No. Can I, sorry,
I'm sorry, Councilor McDonough.
I have a point of question. If we bundle this, I can't vote on 8.4 because it is going directly to the schools.
Okay, it only take a minute to go through these anyway, so let's just do them by line item. Councilor Mercier, would you waive that motion? Thank
Yes.
you. 8.3, vote, accept and expend $56,250 hazard mitigation grant, fire. Waive full reading and second reading by title. Vote, authorizing the city manager to accept and expend a hazard mitigation grant award by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, Mass Emergency Management Agency, in the amount of $56,250 for the City of Lowell Fire Department. Motion to accept, Councilor Scott, seconded by Councilor Mercia. Roll call.
Counselor Noon, Counselor Robinson, Counselor Rourke, Counselor Scott,
Yes.
Counselor Chow.
Yes.
Counselor Dakota.
Here, yep.
Mayor Getchir.
Yes.
Counselor Duran.
Yes.
Counselor Liang.
Yes.
Counselor McDonough.
Yes.
Counselor Mercia.
Yes.
8.4, vote, apply, accept, expend $250,000 Mass Office of Disability Grant. Waive full reading and second reading by title. Vote authorizing the city manager to apply, accept, and expend funds from the Massachusetts Office of Disability in the amount of $250,000. Motion to accept by Councilor Liang, seconded by Councilor Duran. Roll call.
Counselor Noon, Counselor Robinson,
Yes.
Counselor Rourke, Counselor Scott,
Yes.
Counselor Chow.
Yes.
Counselor Dakota.
Yes.
Mayor Getchir.
Yes.
Counselor Duran.
Yes.
Counselor Liang.
Yes.
Counselor McDonough. Counselor Mercia.
Yes.
8.5, vote, FY26 free cash certification and recommendation. Waive full reading and second reading by title. Vote, ordered by the City Council of the City of Lowell by a two-thirds vote as follows, that the amount of $8,949,041 be appropriated from July 1st, 2025 certified free cash, more fully described in Attachment A to various accounts, more fully described in Attachment A. Motion to accept by Councilor Liang, seconded by Councilor Duran. I'd like to recuse myself on the portion of the city clerk and the elections department.
Mr. Mayor, I just have a quick question for the manager. On the recommendation piece with this, I'm supportive of this, but on the recommendation piece, will the council see any additional potential recommended funding through the budget cycle going towards traffic calming measures? Because I noticed there was a recommendation with this piece. I think it was the tune of $200,000 out of the free cash certification. Will we see additional monies potentially in the budget also aimed at that?
Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. It's possible, but there are some traffic calming measures that wouldn't be in capital. So, it is possible, but I don't see us creating a general fund portion on that. And anything that I'll be talking to Ms. Altman as well as the Assistant City Manager about that to figure out which part of capital we can do, because there is only $200,000 in free cash that we figured we could expend at on something that's very popular here with the council, which is traffic safety.
Thank you very much.
We have a registered speaker.
Ryan Faria.
Mr. Mayor, just while the speaker takes the podium, I just want to note that I'm recusing myself from the portion that has to do with the school department and the workers' comp for the school department.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll be really brief. I just had a few questions about this. The first one is, for the last several years, we've had a deficit in our parking enterprise fund, and it seems like that's generally stemmed from the HCID debt service, and it's created a significant deficit that we don't see any foreseeable way to come out of in the near future. Is there any plans to reduce that, is my first question. I have three total. The second question is, the last 2 years, we saw 15.5 and 21 million respectively in free cash. This year was only about 9 million. Could you discuss some of the drivers in the decrease? I presume that means maybe we're staffing at much better levels, so we don't see as much free cash. And then finally, one of the items that stood out to me was the $150,000 going to the treasurer's office for stamps.
That budget for the start of the year was $167K, and it's been encumbered by 96, which is right about where you'd expect through 7 months of the year. I don't know why it needs to double. That'd be over 200,000 residential letters going out. So that one is a question I have as to kind of how that 150K is going to be utilized. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to accept by Councilor Duran, seconded by Councilor Dakota. Any questions on the motion? Councilor Scott.
Just a quick question through you to the city manager. The additional workers' comp claims, I understand that that's unforeseen, that you can't necessarily see that, but it is quite a large amount on the school side of them, of this. Is that typical that we run into this on kind of like a frequent basis, or can you kind of just talk about that a little bit? And I also had the question about the postage, but that, so.
Manager Ball.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through the council. If there's any other further questions with this, I'll talk to the CFO, but we haven't seen an increase in that particular line item over the past few years due to some of the claims. Is that correct, CFO?
Yes. So typically, for the last several years, we've used free cash as an avenue to supplement the needs to fund school department workers' comp claims. It is something, a few years ago, there are other ways to fund it. There is a possibility for an injury revolving fund, in which case we could make appropriations into the fund and it would revolve. That is something we're examining. I don't know that it's the right way to manage it here in Lowell. But it's difficult to predict the amount of injuries that will happen in any particular year. But we have seen a spike. Not last year, the year before, there was a significant amount of catch-up that needed to happen. And so, the solicitor's office, and he can certainly provide more detail if needed, has resolved a lot of that catch-up. And so now we're dealing with claims as they come, but they are significant in the school department. They are somewhat seasonal, and so we try to include as much as we can in the budget to fit within our tax policy, but it is typically sometime in the middle of the year that we realize it's not enough, and so free cash is our way to supplement those needs for the year.
Okay, thank you. And the postage that was brought up as well, is there a reason?
Sure.
The line item is still, like he said, still has quite a bit of money in it.
The treasurer's office is the cost center for the mailroom in the city for all mail that runs through City Hall. The actual machine itself is in the elections office, but when they add more money to the machine, it runs through the treasurer's office account. There has been a significant amount of mailings that have gone out this year, a number of mailings to residents, as well as our normal our business, as well as notifications for the elections, the special election, etc., which is, as you'll notice on free cash, there is also a supplemental appropriation for the special election itself, for wages for the poll workers, as well as for overtime for the staff to administer the the primary for the special election, which already occurred, and then the general election coming in the future. So all of that in the aggregate has led to an increase in costs. However, like workers' comp, the postage amount is another one that typically does need supplemental needs. And so if you look back at free cash over the last few years, you'll see that we've had to supplement that budget in the treasurer's office with free cash.
Thank you.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Counselor Noon, Counselor Robinson?
Yes.
Counselor Rourke, Counselor Scott?
Yes.
Counselor Chow?
Yes.
Counselor Dakota?
Yes.
Mayor Getchia?
Yes.
Counselor Duran?
Yes.
Counselor Liang?
Yes.
Counselor McDonough?
Yes.
Counselor Mercia?
Yes.
Nine resolutions. 9.1, resolutions adopt Vision Zero policy. Waive full reading and second reading by title. Resolution, the City Council of the City of Lowell wishes to go on record in support of adopting a Vision Zero policy. Motion by Councilor Robinson, seconded by Councilor Dakota. Roll call.
Counselor Noon, Counselor Robinson?
Yes.
Counselor Rourke, Counselor Scott?
Yes.
Counselor Chow?
Yes.
Counselor Dakota?
Yes.
Mayor Getchia?
Yes.
Counselor Duran?
Yes.
Counselor Liang?
Yes.
Counselor McDonough?
Yes.
Counselor Mercia?
Yes.
Thank you. 10 reports. There are none from subcommittees. 11 petitions. There are none. 11.1 claims. 1 property damage. Motion to refer to the Law Department for report and recommendation by Councilor Scott, seconded by Councilor Dakota. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? So ordered. 12 announcements. Councilor Chow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very briefly, I want to wish everyone a happy Lunar New Year. 2026 is the symbol of the horse, which is very rare. It comes only once every 60 years. It's a very powerful symbol, so I wish everyone good health and prosperity. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Chow. Any other announcements? Seeing none, motion to adjourn by Councilor Duran, seconded by Councilor McDonough. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? So ordered.
Winterfest is next week. Winterfest next week.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.